There's a rumor going around. If you like this video and subscribe, you will find the dragon zodiac cloth. Hi guys, this is the next part of What If Naruto Mastered Every Element? I hope you enjoy. It was about 2 months after Team 7 was made an official Genin team with their sensei Hatake Kakashi, who has been said to have never passed a Genin team until 2 months ago. The team was doing extraordinarily well, doing over 210D rank missions. As for the team members, well, let's just say they got super extraordinarily awesome. Uzumaki Naruto, our favorite blonde Jinchuriki, had revealed his true self of being a not as loud, mature, strong and intelligent Naruto. He had grown exceptionally stronger and had almost mastered the water walking exercise, as he already knew the tree climbing one. He learned more jutsus from Kakashi and Kyuubi. He began weight training, wearing up to 200 kilos now, and due to this became faster and stronger in order to use the KitsuneDragon to its full potential, as the KitsuneDragon required the art of using fast-paced move and agility, which are used to get under the enemy's guard and then deliver a set of powerful blows to defeat them. Overall, Naruto was a badass. Uchiha Sasuke has learned some more fire-style jutsus from his family scrolls, such as Kaden, Ruka no Jutsu and Kaden, Hausenka no Jutsu and Kaden, Karyuendon no Jutsu from Naruto after doing continuous work on the Tree Zero climbing exercise. He also learned a fighting style that he got from a scroll given to Hai by Kakashi called Wrath of the Dragon, which uses powerful and speedy blows which are being pounded on by the foe but lowers your guard and therefore very risky to use in a taijutsu battle. He and Sakura also, after continuous use of the tree climbing exercise, and finally got enough chakra to learn Kagebunshin no Jutsu from Naruto. Haruno Sakura also improved, learning a variety of genjutsu from a young Kurenai sensei, and invented her own fighting style which is called Zeben Sakura, I Do Not Own Bleach, in which Sakura casts a powerful genjutsu which makes the scenery change to that of a forest of sakura blossom trees. The genjutsu has a lot of chakra, so when using the Kai technique you have to use a lot of chakra to break it. Then after that she takes numerous kunai knives and throws them all at her confused opponent, thus killing them. Now the team had just returned after capturing the most horrible, deadly and ferocious monster-like animal in the entire animal kingdom. It was Tora the cat. The team delivered the cat off at the place where they get their missions, no idea what that place is called, with anger towards the cat for it had nearly one sliced off Naruto face. Kyuubi had to use every ounce of willpower to stop himself from taking over Naruto's body and tearing the cat apart limb from limb. 2 clawed out Sasuke's eyes, 3 ripped Kakashi's little orange book to shreds and ruined Sakura's hairdo, and grinned evilly at the cat, not showing any sign of pity when it was nearly squashed to death by its owner, the daimyo's wife. Good job Team 7, that was your 211th mission completion for the year. Now then, your next mission is to cut the lawn of No. All eyes turned towards the blonde Jinchuriki, who looked at the Hokage, directing all his killing intent towards the Sandaime, who if not trained in the art of repelling killer intent would have shit himself. With all due respect, Gigi, we should be doing missions that would be able to help with our skills as a ninja, not ones that are chores that a civilian could for herself, Naruto said with an intelligent tone. Iruka stared at Naruto, wide-eyed at Naruto, as he had never heard or seen Naruto act mature in his life, while the Sandaime chuckled. Alright Naruto, you've made your point, here's a C rank. It an escort mission, he said, tossing a scroll at Naruto, who caught it with a happy expression. Your client is outside, you can come in now, the Sandaime said to the door. The door slid open and there stood a rather fat man wearing regular civilian garb. He was holding a sake bottle, and due to Naruto's enhanced senses, due to the Kyuubi, smelt that horrid stench that was the breath of a drunken man. Naruto waved his hand in front of his nose. Hey old man, ever heard of the breath mint? It's really quite handy for people with horrendous and disgusting breath, Naruto said, trying not to vomit his lunch of rice, chicken and a salad. I'm having Naruto change his diet to something other than ramen. Shut up Gaki, I'm the super bridge builder Tazuna, I want you to treat me with respect, besides you guys are just a bunch of brats, especially you blondie, you look like you couldn't even lift a kunai, Tazuna said with a tone of arrogance. I'm a Jonin, Kakashi said, but failed to notice when Naruto suddenly blurred away and slammed Tazuna into a wall with a kunai to his throat. Everyone in the room looked at Naruto with surprise. They had never seen Naruto move with such speed, not even during the spars between Naruto and Sasuke in training sessions. This made Sasuke mad, for Naruto was holding back in their spars. The dope's been holding out on me, Sasuke thought with gritted teeth. Care to repeat that little remark of not lifting a kunai, Mr. Tazuna? Naruto said in a tone of malice. Tazuna looked at Naruto with a look that said, "No, no, never again, just please don't kill me." Naruto grinned his foxy grin and let Tazuna go, pocketing the kunai in his weapons pouch. Kakashi then got over his surprise and said, "Alrighty then team, we'll meet with Tazuna at the south gate at tomorrow noon," and poofed away. The genin and Tazuna then went to their homes to pack up for tomorrow's trip. Time skip tomorrow noon, south gate. The team and Tazuna were there waiting impatiently for Kakashi to arrive when a poof of smoke was heard. The four turned their heads and saw the jonin with surprised looks on their faces. "You're early," Naruto said with disbelief, even pinching himself to see if it was a dream. "I'm never late for missions, Naruto, because those are important," Kakashi said. The three genin then got over their shock and left the village. Later on their journey, Naruto spied a puddle on the side of the road. "That's strange. Kyuubi Tusen, did it rain yesterday?" Naruto thought to Kyuubi. "Not that I know of, Kit, then it must be a trap. The boy and fox thought. "Sensei," Naruto called to the silver-haired man. "I know, Naruto," Kakashi replied instantly. Naruto nodded and silently prepared himself for battle while Sakura asked about the community of Wave Country and why they don't have ninja. Then two men in shinobi garb with huge clawed gauntlets on their arms and the Hitai-8 with the symbol of Karigakure with a slash through the symbol. The chains which suddenly sprang from the gauntlets wrapped around Kakashi and then ripped him to shreds. "One down, 4 to go, one," the former mist ninja said, and then went for Tazuna. Naruto then rushed at them and then using his speed jumped and did a spin kick at the man's face, making him groan in pain. Naruto then using this opportunity and then landed on the ground and did a sharp uppercut, sending him upwards, where Naruto then used an axe kick on the guy's face, knocking him out cold. Sasuke had already knocked out the other guy. "Good job, guys," Kakashi said, appearing out of nowhere as he proceeded to tie up the villains. "Sensei, when did you use the kawarimi?" Sakura asked. Kakashi's eye went into an upside-down U shape, indicating he was smiling. "Bright as ever, Sakura. How did you know?" the jonin asked his disciple. "Well, first of all, Sensei, I'm smart, and because there's a set of chopped wood on the ground where you were," Sakura said blandly. Kakashi chuckled nervously at the obvious show of using a kawarimi. "Well, Mr. Tazuna, I'm going to need to have a few words with you," Kakashi said to Tazuna. The bridge builder sighed and then told the team the whole story about Getu and how the village was poor now and could only afford AC rank. "Well, guys, we now have a few enemy ninja we might face up ahead, so should we stay or go?" the Cyclops asked his team. "Stay," Sasuke said. "Those two were weak. I'm sure we could handle the other more powerful guys, so it's a stay," Naruto said with confiance. Not wanting to let down her teammates and also not wanting to look weak, also said stay. "Alright then, let's go," Kakashi said. A few hours later, the team and Tazuna made it to the port and were on a small boat leading to Wave Country. Then the three genin saw a large shadow on their left through the mist. It was the bridge that Tazuna was building. The genin stared in awe at its massive size and length. "No perverted thoughts, people." Tazuna grinned at the expressions on the youths' faces. They then reached the shore and continued trekking toward Tazuna's house. Then Naruto heard something in the brush and threw a kunai into it. The others were surprised at his throw and wondered why he did it. Then Naruto went into the brush and came out with his kunai and a dead white rabbit. "Naruto, you killed a poor innocent little rabbit," Sakura said in anger. Then Naruto caught the punch directed at his skull and held up the rabbit to Sakura's face. Sakura looked. "This rabbit has white fur, meaning it was kept in a cage for a long while in Bessies as the middle of summer. Rabbits change their fur white during winter," Naruto said with the intelligence that nobody would be able to get over. He had hidden. "Naruto's right," Sasuke said. Then Kakashi yelled, "Duck!" Everyone then dove to the ground, avoiding a large sword that spun as it flew where their heads were seconds ago. The sword stuck in the tree with a thwack, and a tan-skinned man wearing no shirt showing muscles, camouflage pants, brown hair and bandages wrapped around his face. "Hello, Momochi Zabuza, aka Demon of the Mist. Guys, protect Tazuna," Kakashi said with seriousness, raising his Hitai-8 showing that underneath it was a blood-red eye with 3 black tomo in it, the Sharingan. The three genin looked with surprise by the amount of killing intent in the air and by Kakashi's other eye. Suddenly an eerie mist appeared from the air. "Karigakure no Jutsu. Ah, Sharingan no Kakashi, it's an honor to fight you," the ex-Kiri nin said. Then Zabuza jumped off the branch, sword in hand, and slashed at Kakashi, who blocked it with just a kunai. Then the Zabuza in front of Kakashi fell and became water. but was too slow to react to the swing of Zabuza's sword as it cut him in half. Kakashi-sensei, the three genin yelled in fear as their teacher was just sliced in half from their location of a triangle-formatted defense to protect Tazuna. Then what seemed to be blood turned to water as fell as a puddle on the ground. Then Zabuza, still with shock on his face, felt cold metal on his jugular. Zabuza chuckled, "Very impressive, Kakashi, copying my Mizu-Bunshin no Jutsu in this thick a mist, very good, but not good enough." Zabuza yelled the last part as he fell to a puddle, indicating that he was a Mizu-Bunshin. Then Kakashi felt a presence behind him and ducked as Zabuza barely missed his hair, but using the momentum from his swing, Zabuza dug his sword into the ground and kicked Kakashi in his stomach, sending the copy nin flying into a nearby lake. Zabuza then shunshined and performed a set of hand signs. Suoro no Jutsu, the eyebrow-less ninja yelled, and Kakashi was instantly encased in a sphere of water. "Ha ha ha, now to deal with the little brats," Zabuza said as he made a Mizu-Bunshin. "Guys, run, you don't stand a chance against him, he's out of your league, finish the mission," Kakashi yelled. "Never." Sasuke then rushed forward, making hand signs for a fire jutsu. "No, Sasuke-kun," Sakura yelled, but too late. Sasuke was elbowed in his stomach hard and was sent skidding along the ground with some blood coming from his mouth, a sign of internal bleeding. Naruto then calculated a plan and grinned his large foxy grin. "Hey, you the freak with no eyebrows," Naruto called to the Mizu-Bunshin, which growled in anger at the blonde. "Prepare to be the first Jonin to be beaten by genin." Naruto then looked at his teammates and nodded to them. Sasuke and Sakura nodded back, somehow knowing the exact steps of Naruto's plan. Sakura then rushed forward with chakra-enhanced speed and formed the hand signs for her genjutsu. The Zabuza clone then saw everything turn into a pretty cherry blossom tree field. Knowing it was a genjutsu, the clone tried to dispel it, but it wouldn't work. As it tried a second attempt, it then slashed from all sides and then fell to a puddle of water, and there stood 7 Sakuras, each with 2 kunai, and they smiled at their handiwork and dispelled the genjutsu. Meanwhile, Sasuke and Naruto, after seeing Sakura take down the Mizu-Bunshin, they rushed the original Zabuza. Sasuke launched a Gukaku no Jutsu at the nuke nin, but Zabuza made a Mizu-Bunshin and let it take the blow as it was evaporated. Then out of the steam, a blonde boy wearing a black shirt with the Uzumaki spiral on his shirt and khaki shorts came running through the steam with 20 Kagebunshins. The clones then jumped at Zabuza, kunai in hand. Zabuza was then forced to release Kakashi as he could never avoid that many clones and come out unscathed. With the water prison broken, the Narutos and Kakashi then began flinging kunai at the ex-Kiri nin. Using the water walking technique, Naruto and Kakashi and Zabuza stood facing each other in a circular motion. Then Naruto, Kakashi and Zabuza began to form hand signs in perfect sync and speed. "Sweden. Suiruyuendaan no Jutsu," the 3 ninja yelled. Then 3 huge water dragons rose from the depths of the lake and attacked. Kakashi and Naruto's dragons together had made quick work of Zabuza's own and then headed straight for Zabuza. The sword-wielding Jonin managed to avoid one of the dragons, but was then hit with another one, in his face. Zabuza then got up and began another long chain of hand signs, which Kakashi copied perfectly while mocking Zabuza by completing his own sentences. However, Zabuza was taken back by the monkey do act that he stopped making signs, but Kakashi kept going. "Sweden. Daibakufu no Jutsu," yelled the copy nin. Then a giant explosion of water came up out of the lake, flooding the land and nearly caught Sasuke, Sakura and Tazuna if they didn't climb to the trees. Zabuza was hit really hard with that blow and smashed into a tree. "Itai, itai, itai," Zabuza said to himself, then screamed in pain as a couple of kunai were lodged into his arms and legs, rendering them useless courtesy of Kakashi. "Can you see the future?" Zabuza asked with pain and surprise. "Yes, and yours is death," Kakashi said, and was about to throw a kunai when 2 Senbon needles came out of the brush and struck Zabuza at pressure points in his neck and killed him. A masked person then appeared in a swirl of wind. The person looked about 14 or 15 and yet easily picked up the body of Zabuza. "Arigato. We've been searching for this man for years now. I must go to destroy this body," the masked person said. "Wait, are you a hunter nin?" Naruto asked. "Yes, I am," answered the person. "Well, aren't you supposed to just earn the body or something right then and there, not take it someplace and then dispose of it?" Naruto asked. The hunter nin, although he didn't show it, but he was surprised by the boy's information and therefore left in a hurry with a swirl of wind. "Well guys, let's go," Kakashi said, but then fell down and unconscious. Sakura ran up to their sensei and checked him over. Nothing serious guys, just some chakra depletion, he'll be fine. Sakura said. Tazuna and the genin sighed. You know Sakura-chan, you should be a medic nin, you look like you could be a very accomplished one at that. Naruto said. Really Naruto, you think I wait, did you just say Sakura-chan? Sakura asked the blonde Jinchuriki. Yes, I did Sakura-chan, because of this battle you have earned back my respect, Naruto said with a grin. Naruto then picked up the unconscious copycat nin and let Tazuna lead the way to his house. Well, that's chapter 5, we'll make chapter 6 much later since it's school time and shit. Sweden. Suoro no Jutsu water style, water prison jutsu. Kakashi woke up to find himself in a regular room in a futon. Naruto then came into the room and called to his teammates. Hey guys, Kakashi-sensei's awake. Naruto yelled down the stairs. Sasuke and Sakura then ran up and saw their sensei sitting up in his futon looking a lot better but still exhausted from his fight with Zabuza. Hey Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura, Kakashi said in his lazy tone. Sensei, glad to see you're alright. Right after you fainted we Naruto and Sasuke carried all the way to Mr. Tazuna's house. Sakura said. Hey guys, I don't want to be the bringer of bad news, but... Kakashi started. Zabuza's still alive, Naruto finished. Yeah, what he said, Kakashi said. Sakura and Sasuke looked at him like he had just grown a second head. What do you mean he's still alive? Sakura yelled, making all the guys cover their ears to prevent deafness. I mean, we all saw him get killed by that hunter nin, right? Unfortunately that was a fake one, Kakashi told her. However, the damage Naruto and I did to him should take him out of commission for at least a week. Good work protecting Tazuna guys, especially you Naruto, you've improved a lot, Kakashi said with a mask-covered grin. Sasuke scowled because he barely got any praise and began envying Naruto. Arigato Kakashi-sensei, Naruto said with his foxy grin. So now then, during this week we'll be doing some training in order to get ready for our rematch with Zabuza, Kakashi said, his tone full of seriousness. The three genin nodded in agreement. But first, I'm hungry, where's the food? Can't teach on an empty stomach, you know. The genin then sweat dropped at their sensei's antics, but realized he did have a point. Sasuke and Naruto then helped Kakashi up and carried him downstairs to meet Tazuna's daughter, Tsunami, and her son, Inari. Kakashi ate his lunch of rice and vegetables and then, using the crutches the Tazuna family supplied him with, then left with the genin to go train them. Some random forest near the Tazuna household. Okay guys, time to get down to business. Sasuke, Sakura, I'm going to teach you all the water walking technique while Naruto goes and does some training by himself. This means training with Kyuubi. Come on Sasuke and Sakura, let's go. Naruto, you know what to do, Kakashi said. Naruto nodded and then leapt into the trees to do some fox-style training. Kakashi then led the two genin to a nearby pond which just happened to be there. Sasuke tripped on a pebble and fell into the pond. Sakura rushed over to help him while inner Sakura was laughing her ass off. Kakashi was laughing too. Sasuke-kun, are you alright, are you hurt? Sakura asked with concern. I'm fine Sakura, Sasuke answered, and then got up out of the pond and stood up next to a tree, soaking wet and brooding while Sakura looked at him with concerned eyes. Kakashi then stopped laughing and explained the water walking. Okay guys, to do the water walking you must first channel chakra into your feet like the tree walking you learned back in Konoha. But in order to keep yourself on the water you must keep expelling his chakra from your feet at a constant pace. Kakashi explained. Hi Kakashi-sensei, the two genin said, and then proceeded to do it. Sakura managed to get it on her 5th try since she had better control. Sasuke got it much later since he had more chakra to control and got on his 100th try. Kakashi then told them to keep practicing while he would go off to check on Naruto. Kakashi, what training is Naruto going through? Sasuke asked, curious about his blonde teammate. Yeah, what is Naruto doing? Sakura asked. Kakashi sighed. It's a secret, so sorry, Kakashi said, and then leapt away to find Naruto. With Naruto was having a spar with one of his shadow clones. The clone tried a sweep kick, but Naruto jumped it and tried a punch to the clone's head. The clone ducked and tried to kick Naruto's chin, the kick that starts the primary lotus, but Naruto leaned back and dodged it and rolled back and got into the KitsuneDragon stance. Naruto grinned and then rushed the clone. The clone, expecting a straightforward attack, got ready to block, dodge it, but Naruto jumped, surprising the clone, and hit the clone in the head with an axe kick, thus dispelling it. Naruto then wiped his face at a nearby river and took a long drink, and then turned around to see Kakashi clapping his hands and wearing a smirk. "Nice show, Naruto. Impressive moves you showed me," Kakashi said. Naruto grinned and then sat down in a cross-legged position. "Thanks, sensei. So if you don't mind, I need to do some training with the furball," Naruto said, and then smirked when he heard Kyuubi growl angrily in his mind at the insult. "Sure. Oh, and here, this is a jutsu scroll. It's Fudden. Daitapa wind style. Great breakthrough Sweden. Sujinheki water style. Water wall jutsu Kagebunshin no Justu water clone Justu Kagebunshin no Justu wind clone Justu Kage shuriken Bunshin no Jutsu shadow shuriken clone Justu and Kagebunshin Daibakua exploding shadow clones." Kakashi said, tossing Naruto a small scroll. "This jutsu summons a large gust of wind that could blow down a few oak trees at max power," Kakashi said. Naruto thanked Kakashi and then went into his mindscape to train with Kyuubi. Kakashi then smiled at his sensei's son. "This boy is destined for greatness, may even be better than his father one day," he thought, and then jumped to trees to return to Sasuke and Sakura, but didn't notice the shocked faces of a pink-haired and a black-haired genin that were racing back to the pond. Sasuke was also extremely jealous that Naruto got to learn all those amazing and powerful jutsus. Naruto training with the Kyuubi? I don't understand, Sakura thought as she and Sasuke made it to the pond, but was snapped out of her thoughts when she saw Kakashi with an angry face on. "Guys, why did you disobey my orders? I specifically told you stay here and train in water walking as you haven't mastered it. Sure, you could do it, but that doesn't mean you mastery over it," Kakashi yelled. The two genin flinched at the Jonin's words and then suddenly found the dirt to be very interesting. Sasuke then found the courage to answer. "Well, sensei, we were curious about Naruto's special training and followed you," Sasuke said, his Uchiha pride preventing him from being scared and looking like he pissed pants, which Sakura just happened to be acting like right now. Kakashi sighed and then glared at his students. "How much did you hear?" he asked the two. "We heard the part with Naruto's training with the Kyuubi. I don't understand, sensei, and the Kyuubi is dead, isn't it?" Sakura asked, somehow managing to speak. Kakashi looked down again and sighed, again. "That is something Naruto himself will tell you when he thinks you two will be ready to deal with the news. He will eventually tell you," Kakashi answered, and then told them to go back to the Tazuna household while he went to get Naruto. With Naruto was sleeping on the trunk of a tree. His new black t-shirt with the Uzumaki spiral on it and his khaki shorts were covered with grass stains, and his face and hands and legs were covered with dirt. Then a young girl wearing a pink kimono was walking through the forest with a basket full of herbs. The girl spotted Naruto and went up to the sleeping Jinchuriki and pulled out a kunai. "That's because this was no ordinary girl, I'm making Haku female in this, so I'm leaving it at she. This was the fake hunter Nin Haku. Should I kill him now and end the trouble, because we will fight soon? On second thought, I will want to see more of his skills, so I will have to kill him on the field of battle," Haku thought, and then put back the kunai into the hidden pocket of her kimono and then woke up our blonde hero. Naruto stirred and then whipped out a kunai, thinking it was an enemy. Naruto, now fully awake, saw a pretty girl wearing a pink kimono with a basket of herbs. Herbs used for healing, he realized. Naruto stashed his kunai and stood up, dusting off his pants. "Those herbs are used for healing. Do you have a sick friend?" Naruto asked the girl. "Why, yes I do." Haku didn't finish. "Oh, my bad, where are my manners? My name is Uzumaki Naruto, the next Hokage, and you are?" "My name is Haku, and if you are dreaming to become Hokage, then you really are dreaming big," Haku said with a smile. "Well, I don't care. Once I make a promise to myself or someone, I never give up until I fulfill it," Naruto said with confidence and determination. Haku nodded and then asked Naruto an unexpected question. "Do you have anyone precious to you, your precious people?" Naruto looked stunned and then thought, "People precious to me? Iruka, Sakura, Sasuke, Kakashi-sensei, Gigi Hokage, and the other rookies," Naruto thought. "Yeah, I have a lot of people who I hold precious to me," Naruto said with his foxy grin plastered on his face. Haku smiled and then got up, having collected all the necessary herbs. "Well, I have to go, Uzumaki. I hope we meet again someday," Haku said and then walked off. "Me too, Hunter-san," he said, whispering the last part. Haku then froze and watched Naruto's retreating back. He knew, she thought, and then ran off to the hideout she and Zabuza were using. Kakashi then arrived and found Naruto looking exhausted, walking back to Tazuna's house. It was getting dark, so Kakashi then grabbed Naruto under his arm and sped off towards the house. Naruto, Sakura and Sasuke followed me and heard our little conversation about your training with Kyuubi, and they're starting to question me. You're going to have to tell them soon, Kakashi said. Naruto looked at his sensei with surprise and then changed to a downcast look. Naruto sighed and looked up at the silver moon. This day came sooner than I expected. I'll tell them after the mission. Well, Kyuubi-Tusen, looks like my secret is gonna have to be revealed. Don't worry Kit, they'll accept you, I just know it, so don't worry yourself, and Naruto, I am very proud to call you my Kit. Naruto smiled and then went straight to bed when he and Kakashi arrived at Tazuna's house. It was around 10 o'clock in the morning and everyone was awake and ready except for Naruto, who was worn out from all his training and thinking about how to explain about his two-sant Kyuubi. So Kakashi and the others decided to let him sleep in as they went with Tazuna to the bridge, leaving Naruto with Tsunami and Inari. With Naruto yawned loudly as he woke from his slumber, scratching his head, and then got up to have his shower. After the shower, Naruto then put on his clothes consisting of a red long-sleeved jacket with the kanji for Fox on the back in black, which he put over a blue t-shirt, and wore dark green jeans. He then tied his hitai around his forehead, put on his black ninja sandals, and then went to eat his breakfast. Hello Tsunami-san, Inari-san, Naruto greeted. Hello Naruto-kun, the 29-year-old woman replied. Inari just remained silent as he thought about what Kakashi told him yesterday about Naruto. You, the part where Naruto goes and calls Inari a coward and stuff, and then Kakashi explains why Naruto is like that, blah blah. Yeah, sorry, it was late in the night when I wrote chapter 6 and I kinda left it out, so sorry. Anyway, back to the story, so I'm continuing it from after the argument. Naruto then sat down at the table and ate his breakfast of a bowl of vegetable rice, some onigiri, and a glass of milk. Tsunami-san, what time is it and where are Tazuna and the others? Naruto asked. It's around 11 o'clock. Your sensei thought you were very exhausted and let you sleep in as my father and your teammates went to the bridge, Tsunami answered, and then went back to washing some dishes. Naruto blinked and then hurried down his breakfast and then sped off to the bridge to meet his teammates and sensei at the bridge while saying bye to the woman and child. Kuso, they went off without me, Naruto thought, and then started cursing Kakashi in his mind. At the bridge, Kakashi was leaning against the railing of the bridge while reading his little orange book, but then he sneezed loudly. Aachhhoo. Kakashi then grimaced. Great, just great. I have snot and mucus stuck in my mask. The stains will take forever to remove. I wonder who was talking, thinking about me, he thought, and then went back to his book while trying to sniff back the mucus into his nostrils. Gross, I know. Back with Naruto. Naruto was leaping through the trees when he noticed a dead boar that was covered with slash marks. Thinking it was a bear, Naruto was about to leave when he noticed that the trees and branches and shrubs were all sliced and that the slashes on the boar were too thin to be a bear's. Sword marks, Naruto said to himself. He looked at the path of destruction that the slashed made and noticed that they were going towards Tazuna's house, Naruto said, and then sped back towards the house. Tazuna's house, run away Inari. Tsunami shouted to her son as the two swordsmen held her. One was very muscular and had scars all over him, a tattoo on his arm, and wore an eye patch and only wore sandals and long black pants. The other one was short, wore a gray sweater and green shorts and a ski cap. Inari shivered as he watched his mother get knocked out by the short swordsman. The two men grinned at Inari's expression. Haha, look at him, just a little coward, the tall muscular one said. Inari then swallowed his fear, picked up a nearby frying pan, and then ran towards them with a battle cry. Look at him playing a hero, the short one said, and then when Inari got close enough he drew his sword and slashed Inari. The two of them laughed, but then stopped as Inari nice to poofed into a log. They then heard a laugh and saw Naruto standing behind them with Inari in his arms. Don't you know it's not nice to slash swords at people? Naruto said, wagging his finger in a no way. He then threw two shuriken at the two swordsmen, which they blocked with their swords. Ha, think you can beat us like that? The tall one said with a confident smirk. No, but they could, Naruto replied, pointing behind them. The two shuriken Naruto threw then poofed, revealing them to be Kagebunshins that had used the Henj no Jutsu, transformation jutsu. The clones then punched them both out and tied the two men up. Arigato, thank you Naruto. Nisan means older brother. Hey, remember, the hero always shows up at the last minute, and good job trying to protect your mom, Naruto said with a foxy grin. Inari grinned and watched as Naruto leapt away to the bridge. At the bridge Sasuke wasn't doing well. Well, he was. At first he had fought the fake hunter nin and managed to get on a punch, but then the nin who he thought was a girl due to the hunter nin's voice whose name he learned was Haku, oh how right he is, give a round of applause PPL, then pulled out her Haijutsu, Maku Hyusho, secret jutsu, demonic crystal ice mirrors. He was now trapped in them and now had no way of getting out as the hunter nin could move faster than he could as he was being struck by Senbon from all sides. Sakura was too busy protecting Tazuna to help him and Kakashi-sensei was fighting Zabuza in the mist. Then when he thought all hope was lost he heard a familiar voice. Outside the ice prison, "Hello people, Uzumaki Naruto at your service," Naruto shouted announcing his presence. Zabuza and Kakashi paused their battle to see the blonde Jinchuriki arrive. Kakashi and Sakura and Sasuke sighed in relief as they heard Naruto. Zabuza on the other hand growled in anger. You little gaki brat, this is for hitting me with your water dragon," Zabuza said and threw a flurry of kunai at the blonde. Naruto was about to deflect them with his own kunai when some Senbon needles came out of nowhere and clashed with the kunai. "I am sorry Zabuza-sama," Haku said, "but I want to be the one to defeat this boy," Haku finished. Zabuza nodded. "Make sure you kill him painfully," he said and then went back to fight Kakashi. Naruto then ran up to Sakura and Tazuna. "Hey guys, are you alright?" Naruto asked with concern in his voice. "Yes, but Naruto, why are you here? You should be helping Sasuke-kun," the pink-haired banshee yelled, and then using strength she didn't know she had flung Naruto into the ice prison. Just so you know, since I've had Naruto change his diet, he's as tall as Sasuke and Sakura now." In the ice mirror prison Sasuke was thinking of a plan. Now that Naruto's here he could attack from the outside and give us the advantage, he thought, but was thrown out of his reverie as a red and green blob smashed into him. Naruto and Sasuke were rolling on the ground, but when they stopped Naruto had accidentally moved his face at the wrong time and ended up kissing Sasuke. The two boys' eyes widened and then started coughing and spitting as if they had the plague. Meanwhile Haku was trying her best not to laugh at the scene so that she couldn't lose her focus on the mirrors. "You kissed me," Sasuke yelled, wiping his mouth. "Well, sorry. If it weren't for that pink-haired bastard throwing me in here, this wouldn't have happened," Naruto yelled back, also wiping his mouth. After that the two genin got up and then faced Haku, who had gotten over her feeling to laugh when saw the two boys staring at her ready to fight. "Hello Naruto-san," Haku said. "Haku?" Naruto replied in a monotone. Sasuke blinked and shook his head. "You two know each other?" Sasuke asked. "Not really," Naruto replied. Naruto then some hand signs. "Kaden. Gukaku no Jutsu, fire style. Grand fireball jutsu," he yelled. The large fireball spewed out of Naruto's mouth and at the mirrors, expecting them to melt, but they didn't. "Naruto, fire doesn't work on these mirrors. I tried," Sasuke said. "That would have been nice to know," Naruto said in an annoyed tone. Haku, tired of the boys bickering, began moving at her high speeds, throwing her Senbon at the two. Sasuke and Naruto then began dodging the flying projectiles, but couldn't avoid them all due to the sheer numbers of the needles, sticking them in many places. It was a miracle that the Senbon didn't hit their genitals, which I find to be very weird in the anime and the manga, until they looked like human pin cushions. Naruto then made about 100 Kagebunshins, Sasuke made about 10 since his chakra was lower. The Naruto and Sasuke clones then did a rapid barrage of Kaden, Gukaku no Justice fire style, Grand Fireball jutsus. They managed to get some of them to melt due to the extreme heat, but not completely. Haku then knew that if this kept up, some of her mirrors would be destroyed and destroyed all the clones and hurting Naruto and Sasuke too, but was cut on her ankle by Sasuke. "How did he cut me? It's not possible," Haku thought. Then she looked at Sasuke and noticed the change in his eyes. They changed from coal black to blood red with 2 tomo in each one. Sharingan, mirror wheel eye, Haku realized. Naruto got up and also noticed Sasuke's eyes. "Sasuke, good job on activating your Sharingan," Naruto said with a grin. Sasuke looked into one of the mirrors and saw his reflection. Naruto was right, he finally unlocked his Dojutsu eye technique. Haku then knew she couldn't let this fight drag on any longer and then went to attack the boys. Naruto got cut, but Sasuke managed to block most of them. Haku then noticed Naruto struggling on the ground and then went towards Naruto to kill him. Sasuke saw this and rushed in to block Naruto. Naruto saw Haku rushing at him for the killing blow. Naruto then closed his eyes waiting for the pain, but it never came. Naruto opened his eyes and saw Sasuke standing in front of him and Haku flying backwards towards the mirrors. "Sasuke, you did it!" Naruto yelled, but his happiness was short-lived as the body of the great Uchiha Sasuke fell. Naruto gasped and caught the Uchiha prodigy. "Why Sasuke, why did you take that blow for me?" Naruto said with tears in his eyes. He and Sasuke had grown rather close over the past 2 months and a week. They had been on a team, like best friends. "I don't know, my body just moved on its own," Sasuke said while coughing. "Look Naruto, even though I envied you because you got trained by yourself and got to learn all those amazing jutsus, I always saw you as my best friend." Sasuke then became still. Naruto cried as he saw his best friend die before his eyes. "He was a great shinobi," Haku said with remorse. Naruto's body shivered as he cried, but in Naruto's mindscape Kyuubi saw everything and then gave Naruto some of his chakra, enough to heal him and give him the power to gain revenge. "That Haku bastard will die today," Kyuubi yelled and let out a roar as he gave Naruto his Yukai demon chakra. Haku gasped as she saw Naruto's body start to be surrounded by red chakra, and it also gave of a bloodlust greater than even Zabuza. The chakra then manifested into the head of a fox. The fox let out a howl before entering Naruto. Naruto's nails became claws, his whisker marks became darker, and then Naruto turned around looking at Haku with a blood-red eyes, the eyes of the Kyuubi no Yoko. Outside the mirrors Kakashi had just been slashed across his chest protecting Sakura from Zabuza, but then he and the others felt a feeling of bloodlust and major killing intent wash over them, making even Zabuza and Kakashi shiver. "What is this feeling?" Sakura thought, her legs giving out from fear. Tazuna also lost feeling in his legs and sat down hard on his ass. Kakashi knew what this feeling was. It was the killing intent of the Kyuubi. "This chakra, it can't be Kakashi because it's too much for even him, but it fills me with dread," Zabuza said to himself. "Whatever happened in there, it triggered the Kyuubi's chakra to leak out, but I sense that the seal is still holding. We are safe," Kakashi thought, and then took out a scroll, wiped the blood on his wound onto the paper and then rolled it back up. "Look Zabuza, we're both busy men, so I'm going to end this quickly," Kakashi said into the mist. "How Kakashi, you can't even see me," Zabuza said with a chuckle. Kakashi then did a few hand signs and called out the name of his jutsu. "Doden. Fang Vengeance Jutsu, I don't know the Japanese name for it," Kakashi said. He slammed the scroll onto the ground and then a large number of dog summons sprang up from the earth, each one wearing a leaf headband like a collar, and latched themselves onto Zabuza, who couldn't move from the pain. "When your eyes and ears have failed you always follow your nose," Kakashi said in a confident tone. Back in the ice prison, Naruto's wounds were healing before Haku's eyes, who was right now scared out of her pants or kimono thing. "I don't care." Naruto then rushed forward with amazing speed on all fours. Luckily Haku had some speed too, and if it weren't for that she would have been dead. Naruto then stopped and looked around for Haku, sniffing the air like an animal. Haku then flung a barrage of Senbon at him, hitting him all over his back. Naruto then roared and let out a burst of chakra, expelling the Senbon from his body, forcing some of the mirrors to crack from the force of the chakra as well. Haku then flung some more Senbon at Naruto's face. Naruto saw Haku and then ran towards her and roared, sending a chakra pulse deflecting the Senbon. He stopped them without even touching them, she thought. She then appeared in a mirror of Naruto's unprotected back, clutching some Senbon in her hand. "This is the end," she said, and dropped down on Naruto, but Naruto heard her and then jumped to the side while tumbling, shifted his body and landed on his feet, using his claws to scrape against the ground to stop himself. Naruto's blood-red eyes then stared at Haku with the instinct to kill her. Haku then rushed to the mirror behind Naruto. Big mistake. Naruto, using his enhanced strength, speed and reflexes due to the Kyuubi, managed to grab Haku's wrist, stopping her movement. "Impossible, he caught me," Haku said. Naruto roared, crushing Haku's wrist and giving off chakra in waves. Naruto then channeled most of the Kyuubi's chakra into his right fist and then pow! Naruto punched Haku in the face, hard, really hard, and sent her crashing through a mirror and flying a few feet before landing ungracefully. Since her focus was broken, demonic ice mirrors were destroyed and were falling to the ground. Naruto then stood there in a menacing way. Haku got up and her mask fell off, revealing a pale face and brown eyes staring at Naruto. "Zabuza-sama, I have failed you, and Naruto, I hope you accomplish your dream," Haku whispered to the wind. Naruto, still with the fox's chakra in his system, rushed at a goddamn fast speed, his right fist ready to end the fight, but stopped when he saw Haku's face. The Kagebunshin chakra then immediately left his system and Haku looked at the shorter boy with surprise. "Haku-san," Naruto said, his fist still poised to punch Haku's face. "Naruto-kun, why have you not killed me as I have killed one of the people you hold precious to you?" she said, looking at Sasuke's still body. Naruto turned and also saw Sasuke's body. Naruto then took out a kunai and was about to kill Haku when she stopped him. "Gomen, sorry Naruto-kun, but I can't die now," Haku said and disappeared in swirl of vapor. With Kakashi and Zabuza, "Zabuza, you are a loose cannon and now you will die today," Kakashi said, holding a ball of chakra and lightning in his palm. Kakashi then rushed at the pinned Zabuza, he's still bound by the dogs. "Raikiri, lightning blade," Kakashi yelled. He then rushed forward, his lightning-covered fist aimed at Zabuza's heart, but he didn't notice the ice mirror forming behind Zabuza. A hand is thrust, blood flies, someone dies. Kakashi looks and finds that Haku is struck in her heart with the Raikiri, blood splattered all over her body and Kakashi's and Zabuza's face. "Zzz abuza sa ama," Haku stuttered and then died with an arm through her chest. "Haku, no, why Haku, why?" Zabuza screamed, "Looks like you missed, but I'm not going to kill you for money, I'm going to avenge Haku, now die." Zabuza then sloppily attacked using his sword in his left hand, but Kakashi avoided it and stabbed him in the shoulder, rendering it useless. Kakashi then jumped away and closed Haku's eyes and rested her on the ground. Zabuza then appeared behind Kakashi, but got punched in his face. He then tried to slash Kakashi with the sword in his right hand, but Kakashi appeared behind him and was about to strike him in the neck with a kunai, but Zabuza twisted his body so that it stabbed him in the other shoulder. "Zabuza, give up, you can't win, you've lost both your arms and the only person you hold dear," Kakashi said. Zabuza sighed, but then growled when he heard some laughing behind him. There stood a short man in a business suit with a lot of ninja and samurai behind him. "Getu will now kill you, for you have just finished your use to me," Getu said. His lackeys laughed along with their boss. Naruto then came out with Sasuke's body and rested it by Sakura, who was now crying her eyes out. Tazuna felt sorry for her and now understood the life of a ninja. Naruto then stood with Kakashi and Zabuza facing Getu. "Hey kid, can I borrow a kunai?" Zabuza asked Naruto. "Sure," Naruto replied, tossing him one from his kunai holster. Zabuza caught it in his mouth and then rushed towards Getu. Getu then ran to the back of his little mob. "Kill him," Getu yelled to his lackeys. The mob then got ready to attack Zabuza when the cloud behind Zabuza took a rather ominous shape, the shape of a demon. Zabuza used their fear to an advantage, slicing them all to get closer to Getu. Zabuza was stabbed all over his back, but he kept going. "Why won't you die?" yelled one of the samurai guards. Zabuza then reached Getu and stabbed him in the stomach. Getu gasped in pain and surprise. "You're going to hell with me, Getu," Zabuza said menacingly, and then removed the kunai from Getu's stomach, blood spewing out like water from a fountain. Zabuza then leaned back and then, using his lone kunai in the mouth, cut off Getu's ugly little head, sending it flying like a comet with a tail of blood. The mob of samurai and ex-ninja then yelled in surprise when the head of their boss rolled to their feet. Zabuza then fell to the ground exhausted from pain and blood loss. "You guys killed our meal ticket, well now we are just going to have to raid the village," one of the ex-nin said. He and the others then let out a battle cry and charged, but were halted when an arrow stopped their march. They looked and saw the villagers carrying spears, pans, pieces of wood and knives, wearing pots on their heads, and leading them was little Inari with a steel bowl on his head holding a crossbow. "The hero always appears at the last minute, isn't that right, Naruto-ni-san?" Inari said with a grin. Naruto looked at the people and then nodded with a laugh. "You'll never get into the village, you'll die before that happens," Inari said in a menacing voice. The villagers waved their weapons in the air to support Inari's statement. Naruto and Kakashi then made some Kagebunshins, and the ex-nins and samurais all jumped off the bridge and swam away, some drowning from not being able to swim. The villagers cheered and they all walked back to their homes with happy expressions on their faces. Sasuke then woke up and Sakura told him the whole story, and then Tazuna and the team went home to rest. 3 weeks later, Tazuna, Inari and all the villagers were there to say goodbye to Naruto and his team. "Inari, no need to cry, I'll come back and visit when I become Hokage, okay?" Naruto promised. "I'm not gonna cry, it's alright for you to cry, Naruto-ni-san," Inari retorted. "Me cry? No way," Naruto and the team then turned and walked away. Naruto and Inari were blubbering at seeing each other leave. Bakas, Sakura thought, so what you gonna name the bridge to San? Tsunami asked her father while watching the retreating backs of the four shinobi. Tazuna smiled. That Naruto boy inspired Inari and all of us to keep believing and fight for ourselves, so we shall name this bridge, but he was interrupted by Inari. The Great Naruto Bridge, Inari shouted. Tazuna chuckled. Yes, the Great Naruto Bridge, a great name for a great work of art. It had been 3 days after the mission to Wave, and Naruto and his team had received their pay, which was a lot, I might add. Naruto and the others then went to their respective homes and slept a lot. So Naruto, being the kind and generous soul he is, decided to pay a visit to Ichiraku Ramen with his froggy wallet, Gama-chan, which was bulging with what seemed to be over 2,000 yen after his nap. Ichiraku Ramen, hey Gigi, I'm back. Naruto yelled to the old chef. Ayame, Ikiraku's daughter, smiled knowing that voice anywhere. Hey To-san, our favorite customer's back, she said with a smile. Naruto, you're back, I missed you, you little Gaki. Business has been slow since you left, Ichiraku said. Well, no need to fear, Gigi, I will have your extra large chicken and pork ramen please. Naruto said with excitement, for he had not eaten his favorite food in over 3 weeks. A few seconds later, Ichiraku came back with the 2 piping hot bowls of ramen. Here you go, enjoy, Ichiraku said with a large grin. This boy will have me retire early with all that money, he thought. Naruto then continued inhaling high ramen until he was full, which consisted of a neatly stacked tower of about 31 bowls. Ah, that was good, Naruto said, patting his stomach in satisfaction. See you later, old man, gotta go meet with the team, Naruto said with a wave. Come back any time, Ichiraku said with a large grin. Sigh. So much like his father, even has his appetite for ramen, the old ramen chef said. Training Ground 7, hey Sasuke-tem, Sakura-chan, and how are you this fine morning? Naruto asked with his cherry attitude. Hey Naruto-kun, I'm good, you? Sakura replied, also in a good mood. Sasuke looked up from staring at the koi fish in the nearby river. Hey Dobi, I'm good and you seem happier than usual, Sasuke said with a grin. I'm fine Sakura-chan and Sasuke, I'm just happy because we just beat an A-rank mission. I learned some new jutsu which I would be happy to teach you, Tem, so don't fret your little ass off, and I just had a whole lot of ramen. Naruto said, yelling the last part. Sasuke smiled, but scowled at the ass comment. Sakura was just plain happy at seeing her 2 teammates happy. You see, the 3 of them had grown rather close over the past few months they've spent as a team. Sasuke started opening up more, thus he began smiling and laughing a lot more. Sakura was taking her training more seriously, and with some help from Naruto and Sasuke had become stronger, and Naruto was, well, Naruto. They were like Naruto's little family, seeing Sasuke and Sakura as a brother and sister to him. He had been going on dates with Hinata and they had become rather close as well. Hinata had become stronger from her confidence boost she got from hanging out with him, and finally got respected by her father and the clan, and Naruto had finally decided that his feelings for her had changed to something more than a friend and would tell her later this evening. But that happiness ended with Sakura's harmless little question. Naruto-kun, about the Kyuubi thing you were talking about with Kakashi-sensei, what is it? Naruto's smile dropped and it became serious. Poof. Kakashi came into existence fro his cloud of smoke. Yo, he said with his eye in an upside down U indicating he was smiling. Kakashi then noticed the tension between them. Hey, come on guys, what's going on? He asked. I thought you guys worked everything out. We have sensei, it's just I was about to tell them about my tenant now, Naruto replied in a monotone. Ooh, Kakashi said as realization hit him. Well, carry on, Kakashi said, taking out his orange book. Naruto sighed and told Sasuke and Sakura to sit with him by the tall tree they used during their tree climbing exercises. Okay guys, do you the tale of how the Kyuubi was killed by the 4th Hokage? Naruto asked them. They both nodded. Well, that story they told you was lie to cover up the truth about what really happened. Naruto said. What do you mean, Dobi? Sasuke asked, confused. Yeah, Sasuke-kun, and I don't understand, Sakura added. Well, you see, you can't kill a demon, but you can seal it. The 4th used a very advanced sealing jutsu which sealed the Kyuubi's soul into a young baby who just had his umbilical cord cut. This was done with the cost of the 4th's life, and that baby was me, Naruto finally finished. Sasuke and Sakura were shell-shocked. Their eyes were wide as plates and were slack-jawed. "I understand if you don't want to be my friends anymore," Naruto said with tears in his eyes. Kyuubi was watching this from inside Naruto's mind, waiting for the two genins' response. "Come on, talk already, the kid's getting more and more miserable," Kyuubi thought. Sasuke was the first to answer. "And why would we do that?" Sasuke asked with a grin. Naruto looked up, his electric blue eyes full of surprise from Sasuke's question. "Yeah, honestly, Naruto, do really think we're that shallow to hate you for something that saved the entire village," Sakura added. Naruto then cried tears of joy and glomped them. "Arigato, Nei-chan, Ni-san," Naruto sobbed. The raven-haired boy and pink-haired girl smiled softly and rubbed Naruto's back in comfort. "You're welcome, Ni-san," they both thought. Kakashi was watching the whole thing from a distance. "Well, looks like things will be a lot different from now on." "Oh right, training," Kakashi said. "Alright guys, time to train," Kakashi said, appearing in front of them. The three of them stopped their little hugging thingy and Naruto wiped his eyes and then got ready for today's fun activity. "Bring it on, sensei, we can take it," Naruto said, his eyes full of determination. "Alright then, you all will spar with me until you can beat me." Again, Kakashi's sad about how they beat him during their first meeting, and then Naruto will train with Kyuubi after, while I train Sasuke and Sakura in some ninjutsu, Kakashi said. The three genin nodded and then got into fighting stances. "Okay, and start," Kakashi said. The three genin rushed the Jonin as fast as they could, but Kakashi easily dodged their rush attack, but didn't see some of Naruto's Kagebunshin come up from behind. Kakashi, sensing the clones' movement, turned around and caused them all to be dispelled with a few sharp blows. The scenery then started changing before the Jonin's eyes, changing from a training ground to a cherry blossom forest. Sakura's genjutsu, Kakashi thought. Kakashi was then slashed on his leg, some blood dripping out of the small cut. He was being continuously slashed from all sides before he dispelled it by forcing a lot of chakra from his body to destroy the genjutsu. Kakashi stood there panting. The numerous cuts on his body were dripping with blood, and standing before him were thousands of Naruto Kagebunshins. Kakashi, knowing this was getting serious, raised his Hitai, showing his dreaded Sharingan eye. "Seems you're taking this seriously now, aren't you, sensei?" Naruto said. "Yup, and I'm not holding back," Kakashi replied. He then began destroying clone after clone. One of the clones tried a punch to the head and another, a chakra-infused kick to Kakashi's chest. Kakashi ducked under the punch and grabbed the other clone's leg and threw it into another clone. A fireball then plowed through the clones and towards Kakashi, destroying a lot of clones in the process. Kakashi jumped the flaming sphere of doom, but saw Sasuke, Sakura and Naruto about to do a triple punch to his head, but unlike before, he was prepared and kicked Sasuke in his chest, punched Sakura in her stomach and kicked Naruto in the groin. Ouch. The three of them then poofed into smoke, indicating they were Kagebunshins. Kakashi landed on the ground when he saw a gale force wind heading towards him. "Fuuton, Daitoppa," Naruto yelled. "Kaden. Karyuendan no jutsu," Sasuke yelled. The wind then mixed with the flaming dragon, making its flames more powerful as it sped towards the Jonin with a roar. Kakashi then made some hand signs. "Sweden. Suigenhiki, water wall jutsu, that's how you spell the Japanese for water wall, right?" The wall of water then rose up from the river and moved in front of Kakashi, protecting him from the fire blast. But Sakura came up from behind and held a kunai to his throat. "We win again, sensei," Sakura said with a cute smile. Kakashi sighed. "This starting to get old, I need to come up with some new stuff," he thought. "Good job guys, but looks like I won't be able to train you anymore. That spar took a while, so you can go home," Kakashi told them. The three genin then got up from their rest to go home. "Oh wait, I almost forgot. Here, take these," Kakashi said, holding 3 pieces of paper in front of them. They each took one. "What are these?" Sasuke asked. "Those are your applications for the Chunin exams that will be held here in Konoha," the Jonin told Sasuke. "You really think we're ready for this big of a tournament?" Naruto asked. Kakashi nodded with a smile. "Yada." The three genin cheered. They then rushed to Ichiraku to celebrate. Kakashi chuckled at their antics and then took out his Ika Paradise book. John then went to go see Linda at the hot springs. Kakashi read with a perverted giggle. After their celebration and coming up with new strategies for the exams, Naruto went to the Hyuga compound to talk with Hinata. Naruto arrived at the gates of the clan and spotted a guard there. "Hey Hyuga-san, may I see Hinata please?" Naruto asked. "Of course Uzumaki-san, follow me," the guard said. You see, the elder Hyugas knew of Naruto's heritage and treated him with respect, but knew not to tell their children, especially Hinata. "Here you are," the guard said as they reached the main branch building. "Arigato," Naruto said as the guard used Shunshin no Jutsu, body flicker jutsu. Naruto then knocked on the door. "Coming," said a female voice from inside the house. The door opened revealing Hinata. "Oh Naruto-kun, what are you doing here?" she asked him. Naruto gulped and began his sentence. "Well, you see Hinata-chan, after all the time we've spent together, I had come to terms with myself that gulp, that what, Naruto-kun?" Hinata asked with an amused grin, knowing what he was going to say. "Come on kid, you can do it, just say it. I know it's hard, believe me I know," Kyuubi said, encouraging his son. "Alright to Sansai, here I go," Naruto replied. "Attaboy," Kyuubi said with a grin. Naruto then took a really deep breath. "I really like you," Naruto said quickly with his eyes shut tight. Hinata chuckled and then kissed Naruto on the lips. Naruto's eyes widened before he melted into the kiss. Hinata then smiled before saying, "I do to Naruto-kun." Naruto smiled his foxy grin before leaving the Hyuga compound to his apartment, humming a little tune and walking with a little spring in his step. Hinata giggled before going back into her house, watching her Naruto-kun walking home. The next day, Team 7 was walking to the building where the Chunin exams were being held when they noticed they were being followed by a strange square rock with eye holes and perfect angles. The three of them sighed before turning around to face the rock. "You can come out, Konohamaru," Naruto said in a bored tone. The rock then disappeared in a poof of smoke, revealing three small kids who were coughing from the smoke. One kid had brown hair, black eyes, and was wearing a black shirt with black pants, glasses, and had snot dripping out of his nose, and this was Udon. Another was a girl who had her hair tied up into things. I don't know what that hairstyle is called. Her hair was a golden brown, she had brown eyes and was wearing a pink t-shirt and black pants. Moegi was her name, and well, you all know Konohamaru. "Hey boss, can we play ninja with you?" Konohamaru asked. The boy then froze when he saw Sakura. "Hey boss, is that your girlfriend?" he asked, wiggling his pinky. Sakura blushed, but Naruto maintained his cool. "Nah, Kono-san, she's just a friend, besides she's Sasuke's girl." Naruto finished, making Sakura and Sasuke blush. It was true, since Sasuke began opening up Sakura and Sasuke became a couple. Konohamaru nodded before asking his previous question. "Sure thing, okay, all you guys have to do is try and catch that kunai in 10 seconds, he said, throwing a kunai around a nearby bend. "Yada!" Konohamaru yelled in excitement as he ran after the lone kunai. He raced around the corner until, wham! He ran smack into the body of a tall boy, about 1 year older than Naruto, and was wearing a full body suit that looked like a cat, Kankuro, and standing behind him was a blonde girl, who looked around 15, had her hair tied into 4 ponytails and carried around a big-ass fan with her. "Tamari." "Hey, that hurt," Kankuro said with a sneer as he hoisted up Konohamaru by the abnormally long scarf. "Itai," Konohamaru said as he winced in pain. "Let the gaki go, Kankuro, we didn't come here to cause trouble," Tamari said. "But Tamari, he ran into me, and it hurt, so I'm just returning the favor," Kankuro replied in a whiny voice. "Hey, let him go," Naruto said as he and his team rounded the corner. They got worried when Konohamaru didn't come back for a while. "Pick on somebody your own size," Sakura said, anger dripping in her tone. "No," Kankuro said with a grin and squeezed harder around Konohamaru's scarf, making choke, darkness surrounding his vision as he began to black out from lack of oxygen. Naruto then threw a kunai at Kankuro, who easily dodged it, but let go of Konohamaru in the process. Konohamaru got up and ran to his friends, hiding behind Naruto's leg. A poof was then heard behind Kankuro as the kunai turned out to be one of Naruto's Kagebunshin, using a hinge and kicked Kankuro in his ass. Sasuke then ran forward and punched Kankuro in his face, sending him flying into a waiting Sakura, who halted his movement with a swift kick to the place where the sun doesn't shine. Poor Kankuro. Kankuro then got up slowly, clutching his genitals in pain. He then reached to his back where a large bundle hung. "No, Kankuro, don't reveal Karasu yet," Tamari said with panic in her voice. Kankuro was about to shout back, but he then heard a voice which froze his movements from fear. "Kankuro, stop it," the voice from a nearby tree said. All the heads turned to see a red-haired boy around Team 7's age. He wore a black and brown sash-like outfit which he wore over a fishnet shirt and black pants and carried on his back what looked like a giant gourd. "Gaara, they started it, Kankuro tried to explain, but was cut off. "Shut up or I'll kill you, you're a disgrace to Sunagaku," Gaara said. Kankuro immediately closed his mouth. Team 7 was feeling a bit off because of the killer intent he always spoke within each sentence. Gaara then looked up at Team 7. They managed to trick Kankuro and kick him in the balls. They must be really good, I like their style, Gaara thought. He then shunshined in front of Kankuro in a whirl of wind and sand. "Gomen for the unnecessary fight, I'm Subaku no Gaara, what are your names?" Gaara said as he introduced himself. "Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura." Gaara nodded. "I look forward to facing you three in the Chunin exams, especially you Uzumaki Naruto. There's something about you that will make our battle worthwhile," Gaara said in his monotone, and with that he and his siblings left. Konohamaru then took this as his sign to leave and sped away to find his friends. The three genin just stood, with their eyes fixated on the spot where Gaara stood. "Hey Kit," Kyuubi said out of the blue. "What to san?" Naruto asked. "That Gaara boy, he's the Ikibi, Shukaku's Jinchuriki. Shukaku has the most bloodlust out of all 9 of us, but I'm still stronger, so no need to fret," Kyuubi said. "Are you sure to san?" Naruto asked, thinking Kyuubi was kidding. "As sure as I have 9 tails," Kyuubi replied. Naruto gulped at this. Another Jinchuriki in the exams meant this exam was about to be even more dangerous than already is. "Hey guys, Kyuubi 2-san says how Gaara is a Jinchuriki like me," Naruto said, turning to his teammates. "What, are you sure, Naruto?" Sasuke and Sakura said in unison. Naruto nodded and grimaced along with his teammates. "Which one?" Sakura asked. "The Ikibi, Shukaku. Kyuubi says how he had the most amount of bloodlust out of all 9 Biju," Naruto replied as he grimaced along with his friends. "Well, we have to avoid their team at all cost before the finals, alright," Naruto said. Sasuke and Sakura nodded, and then together they left towards the Chunin exams building. Chunin exam building. Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura walked upstairs to the second, where a whole crowd of people were gathering outside a room with a sign on it saying, Chunin Examination Room. Then a boy wearing a green leotard, had a bowl haircut and extremely bushy eyebrows, had gotten kicked in his face by one of the kids guarding the door. "If you guys can't beat us, you've got no chance at becoming Chunin," one of them said. "Hey guys, this is only the second floor, we should go on ahead, it would lessen the competition a bit," Naruto whispered to his teammates. They both nodded and followed Naruto to the stairs leading to the 3rd floor, but apparently the leotard-wearing guy was following them, leaving his teammates, a Hyuga who had a really long ponytail, wearing a white shirt and black shorts, and a girl wearing a Chinese-style shirt and black pants. Some big room leading to 3rd floor stairs. "Hey Uchiha," a voice called from a nearby balcony. Team 7 looked up towards the balcony and saw the bushy-browed, green leotard-wearing boy who looked around 1 year older than them. The boy then jumped down, glaring at the team before spying Sakura. A smile then cropped out on his face and he winked at her. A little heart then all of a sudden flew out of his eye. Like in the anime, Sakura screamed in fear and hid behind Sasuke to avoid it. "Sasuke-kun, that bushy-browed freak has a crush on me," she whispered to him. Sasuke then glared at the boy. "No one makes a move on his girlfriend, no one. I am Rock Lee and I would like to fight you to test my flaming powers of youth over your genius, and if I win I get to take Sakura on a date," Lee said. Naruto then walked up and whispered something in Sasuke's ear. Sasuke looked surprised for a while before nodding. "Sorry bushy brows, but maybe next time during the exams, and also Sakura's my girl, alright," Sasuke said, and then turned to go to the exam room. Lee then sat down and sobbed rivers before composing himself and went back to his teammates. Chunin examination doors. Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura then arrived at the doors to the examination room and then saw their silver-haired sensei. "Hey guys," Kakashi said, looking up from his little orange book. "Kakashi-sensei, what are you doing here?" the 3 genin asked the Jonin. Kakashi chuckled. "I'm here to see my star students off before they become Chunin, that's what," Kakashi said with a grin. Naruto grinned. "Well, we will become Chunin and we will totally kick some ass, right guys?" Naruto said, turning to his teammates. "Of course Baka," What else do you expect from the first team ever passed by Kakashi of the Sharingan? Sakura said smiling. Sasuke just grinned and gave a thumbs up. Well, good luck guys, not that you need it, Kakashi said before poofing away. Sakura and Sasuke then each opened a door with Naruto walking through it. The three of them walked in to see a large group of genin glaring at them upon their entering. Whoa, was all they could mutter. There were genin from many various villages, Omegakure, Kusugakure, Tsuchigakure, etc. Sasuke-kun, an annoying shrilly voice yelled. Yamanaka Ino then latched onto Sasuke's neck and winked at him. I've been waiting in excitement for you, she whispered seductively. Sakura and Sasuke glared at the annoying platinum blonde girl. Ino pig, let your stupid hooves off of my Sasuke-kun, Sakura said with a lot of killer intent. Sasuke had managed to escape and then kissed Sakura. Sasuke then stopped looking at a shocked Ino. See Ino, Sakura-chan and I are a couple, so leave us alone, he said with a smirk. Ino growled and then started to lunge at Sakura before she was interrupted by Naruto. Yeah Ino, leave my teammate alone, now, Naruto added. Ino glared at Sasuke, but gasped when she saw Naruto. Naruto, is that you? She asked. Naruto was dressed in a dark blue, short-sleeved t-shirt with the kanji for fox on it which he wore over his vest. It also showed off his muscles. He also wore a pair of black long pants, like in Shippuden, with his black ninja sandals. In the flesh, he said with a grin. Hey Ino, could you keep it down? It's really troublesome when you yell, a lazy voice said. There stood Naruhina with his trademark, hands in his pockets with Akimichi Choji who was eating away at a bag of chips. If it isn't the Baka duo, Sakura said with a smirk. Will you please stop calling us that? Shikamaru asked with annoyance. Nope, she replied. Shikamaru sighed before walking over to the window to look at the clouds. Hey Sasuke, a loud and brash voice yelled from the other side of the room. Inuzuka Kiba, Aburame Shino and Hyuga Hinata, Team 7 turned to face Team 8 as the former walked over to the latter. Hey Hinata-chan, Naruto said with a smile as he walked over to Hinata and then gave her a kiss on the cheek. Hinata giggled at his show of affection. Good to see you too Naruto-kun, Hinata said. Kiba, Ino, Shikamaru, who took a break from watching clouds, Ino, Choji, Sasuke and Sakura had their jaws touching the floor, if they could, that is, while Shino just had his eyebrows raised. Naruto and Hinata looked at them with a chuckle. Oh right, guys, I forgot to tell you, me and Hinata are together and so are Sasuke and Sakura, Naruto said. Their jaws dropped lower than before, except for Sasuke and Sakura who blushing, turning into human tomatoes. Hey, rookies, put a lid on it, some people would kill you for being loud if this wasn't just the waiting room, a young man said. The Rookie 9, as they have been dubbed, looked to see a young man with silver hair in a ponytail, glasses and wearing a purple and gray top with black pants. And who are you, to tell us what to do? Kiba asked in a cocky tone. I'm Yakushi Kabuto, and I'm someone who failed the exams over 5 times, Kabuto said. Naruto and the others were shocked. Were the Chunin exams that hard? Since you're a regular, can you tell us about this exam? Naruto asked. Everyone, except Hinata, Sakura, Sasuke and Shikamaru, looked at him weird since the other 4 knew about Naruto's hidden intelligence. Yeah sure, Kabuto said. He then took out a pack of cards from his pocket and took one out of the pile. What are those? Ino asked. These are information cards that are specifically designed and made, by yours truly, to store any information that I have gathered and then relay it to my allies by just shoving chakra into the card, Kabuto replied. How? This time asked by Hinata, her head resting on Naruto's shoulder. Like so, Kabuto said, shoving some of his chakra into the card. Then a map of the elemental continent appeared along with some holographic bar graphs. Ooh, everyone said in amazement. Kabuto chuckled and then explained more about the exams and about the new Otogakure, which since they are new don't have much ninja participating. I can also show information on certain genin if you wish, Kabuto said. Team 7 then stepped forward and then told Kabuto the names of the genin they wished to know about. Subaku no Gaara and Rock Lee, Naruto said. The others looked at Team 7 with the, what the hell are you talking about face. The 4 genin ignored their stares and then focused on the 2 cards Kabuto just pulled from the deck. Let's see Rock Lee, he's a genin from Konoha just like most of the genin here, but he's 1 year older than you. He has practically no stats in genjutsu and ninjutsu, but his taijutsu skills are through the roof. His teammates are Hyuga Neji. Hinata frowned when she heard her cousin's name, but regained her composure, and Tenten and his sensei is Meidagai, the best taijutsu user in Konohamaru. He has done 69 D rank missions and 13 C rank. An average amount for a genin team that lasts only 1 year so far. Kabuto said, surprised at the taijutsu stat on the card. This Lee kid must be really strong if he had taijutsu skills like that and that he was trained by the best taijutsu user in the country. Next is Subaku no Gaara, Kabuto said, lifting up another card. It says here that he, like his name suggests, is from Sunagaku. His teammates are his older siblings, Kankuro and Tamari. Their sensei is unknown, but specializes in wind jutsus. Gaara and his team have done 32 D rank, 10 C rank and 1 B rank, impressive, and is said to come out of each mission without a scratch, Kabuto exclaimed, his eyes widening at the last part. The rookie 9's eyes widen too, coming out of all your missions without a scratch. I mean D ranks, I can understand, but C's and B's, what is this guy? Shikamaru questioned himself, but Team 7 knew and then looked around for Gaara and then spotted him sitting with his siblings and was staring back at them. Uzumaki Naruto, mother wants your blood, Gaara thought, looking at Naruto with a wild look in his eyes. Naruto then stared back at Gaara and then looked back at Sakura and Sasuke with a look that said, I think he's crazy. Poof. A large plume of smoke then appeared in front of the classroom exam room, and when the smoke cleared there stood a large group of chunin along with a jonin who wore long black pants, a standard jonin outfit and a large black trench coat which he wore over it. Okay, you Gakkus, go to your seats. I'm Morino Ibiki and I will be your proctor for today's written part of the chunin exams, Ibiki said. Naruto started to sweat. I'm gonna die, oh Kami-sama, just take me now, he prayed to himself. Okay, you Gakkus, take your assigned seats from the other proctors so I can start explaining to you about the exam, Ibiki said. All the genin then did as instructed and sat in their seats, same seating arrangement as in the anime. Alright you brats, allow me to welcome you to your very first chunin exams, for others welcome back, Ibiki said with a smirk. The rookie 9 all turned heads to look at Kabuto, who just smiled. Okay, so the chunin exams are like this. You first have the written test, which is led by me, another test which tests your survival skills, and finally the final exams which test your fighting capabilities to see if you're fit for chunin. The genin all nodded. Now then, for my part of the exam, you Gakkus will do a test which consists of 10 questions. Each question is worth 1 point, and therefore if you get all your questions wrong you get 0, if you lose 1 mark, you have 9 points, etc. And if you are caught cheating, you and your teammates are immediately disqualified and will have to try again next year. Ibiki finished grinning like a madman when he saw the terrified looks on the genin's faces. Oh boy, this gonna be a fun exam this year. This test is 1 hour and 45 minutes long, and also if one teammate doesn't answer a question, that person's team also fails, Ibiki added, making most of the genin pale. The genin then received their tests and the chunin exams began. Now then, with our blonde enigma, he was looking at the questions with a lot of concentration, a lot. Okay, first question. If you throw a shuriken at a perpendicular angle to the ground and takes 30 seconds to hit a nearby enemy, find out the distance it traveled before hitting the enemy. Naruto was already sweating as he looked at all the other questions. Kuso, all these questions are all almost or are impossible to solve. It's almost as if they want us to. Ooh, Naruto thought as realization hit him. With Sasuke, seems as though they want us cheat. Sakura won't need to since she's a genius, but I hope Naruto figures it out. If he doesn't, we all fail. Sasuke thought as he looked at his teammates, first Sakura then at Naruto. Naruto's head was against his desk, clutching his hair. But then Naruto got up with a start and you could probably tell he was grinning. Looks like he figured it out, Sasuke thought, and then returned to his test paper by copying somebody's answers with the Sharingan. With Sakura was on fire. She was answering questions so fast it looked like her hand was a blur. Okay, I've answered all 9 questions and the 10th question isn't told until 45 minutes are left in the exam, so I'll just take a nap, Sakura thought, smiling at her final thought, and then closed her eyes and fell asleep. Back with Naruto, looks like it's time for those enhanced senses Kyuubi-2-san gave me to be tested out. Naruto closed his eyes and then focused on his sense of hearing and listened to the sounds of the pencil's writing. He then focused his hearing onto one of them and blocked out all sounds except the sound of that one pencil. His eyes then shot open and he was grinning like a madman, making Hinata, who was sitting next to him, look at him weird. but then smiled softly as she knew why he was grinning so. Naruto then began writing answers as fast as he could. He had just reached the 8th question when he heard those 2 fateful words. "Time's up," Ibiki said. "The 10th question will now be revealed." All the genins except for the rookie 9 gulped in anticipation. "But before I say it, which of all of you here would like to drop out of this exam? If you wish to, do so now," Ibiki stated. Then immediately after Ibiki asked that at least 15 teams dropped out, leaving the rookie 9, Team Guy, the San team, the Odo team and about 22 other random teams stayed behind. Ibiki nodded with a grin. "For those of you who stayed, congratulations, you pass," Ibiki said, smiling at the awestruck genin. Then Temari stood up and asked, "What then? What was the 10th question?" Ibiki was about to explain, but Sakura got to it first. "Well, you see, the point of this exam was to do information gathering. A ninja is required on some missions to get information. However, the 10th question was made to test if those who stayed are ready for the tasks ahead on the road to becoming Chunin, so therefore you could have just done this test without answering a single question," Sakura answered with smile, proud of her answer. Ibiki nodded and then removed his bandana around his head. "The girl is right, information is important and could help during, for example, the Third Great Shinobi War," he said, and then completely removed his headband, showing he had burn marks, long scars and puncture marks from screws being inserted into his skull. The genin all felt like they wanted to hurl, some on the verge of doing so. "Sometimes information can cost you your life, and as you have just seen, I nearly lost mine in the effort to do so," Ibiki finished while tying his bandana back on. Crash! A nearby window was shattered and a rolling black blob came through it. Kunai then pinned themselves to the 4 corners of the front wall, showing a black tarp the size of the wall, and written on it, it says, "Anko Rules." And there, standing in front of said wall, was a woman, probably early 20s, with purple hair, and was wearing a skirt and a wire mesh bodysuit, and over that she wore a long, large yellow-brown trench coat. If it wasn't for the trench coat and the skirt, she'd be a walking Ika paradise. "Alright brats, your time with Ibiki is over, and now you are to come with me, the coolest jonin ever, Mitarashi Anko, proctor of the second part of the Chunin exams." Anko yelled. The class was silent and a little cricket could be heard chirping in the distance. Ibiki then removed himself from behind the tarp. Anko, you're early, again," Ibiki told her. Anko sweat dropped. "Oh," she said with a face that said, "I, an experienced jonin, just embarrassed myself in front of a whole bunch of genin, great first impression Anko." Now the Sasuke, Sakura and the other rookies were all looking at Naruto and thought the same thing. "She's a lot like Naruto." This caused Naruto to sneeze multiple times. "I wonder who's talking about me," Naruto wondered, looking around the classroom. After the silence minus Naruto's sneezing, Anko then told them to follow her to the area where the second part of the Chunin exams were to be held. The genin all reluctantly followed. In Naruto's mindscape, Kyuubi was looking at the pond created in Naruto's mindscape, but this was no ordinary mentally made pond. This pond made Kyuubi see what Naruto was seeing, and when he saw this Anko person, he was rolling on the ground laughter and injured his spleen, which of course healed. After that, Kyuubi began to think if he should teach Naruto, knowing that the final part of the exams let their competitors take a 1 month off to train. What to teach, come on, no not that one. Ah, that's it, I'll give him the greatest techniques a Lord of the Foxes can give. The Demon Lord thought giddy with excitement. Training Area 44 Forest of Death. The genin were all standing in front of a large wall of wire, and beyond that was a large dense forest with trees that made the Hokage building look like a toy house. Anko was facing them with a small smile on her face. "Hello my little genin, this is where your survival skills come into play, this is where your second part of the Chunin exams take place. Welcome to Training Area 44, also known as the Forest of Death," she said in a scary tone, and a crazy smile plastered on her face. The genin gulped in fear. Not Team 7, they wore looks of seriousness and looked like they could take on the Biju and win. "Ooh, Forest of Death, I'm so scared," Naruto said in a sarcastic voice. "That's the biggest load of shit I've heard yet." Anko glared at Naruto and then flung a kunai, intended to give him a cut on the cheek, but Naruto expected it and tilted his head to the side, but then Anko appeared in front of him and sent a fast kick to his head, but Naruto grabbed it, and then Sasuke and Sakura instantly appeared with their kunai held against Anko's throat. Anko chuckled a bit before relaxing. Naruto let go of her leg and Sasuke and Sakura pocketed their kunai. The genin before them were shocked, the Konoha genin were utterly baffled. Kuso Naruto's team has gotten stronger, but we'll do better, thought Kiba. Whoa, Sasuke-kun is so awesome, but Naruto and Sakura sure did change, thought Ino. Naruto-kun, Sasuke-kun, Sakura-chan, your flames of youth are bright, but not brighter than mine, Yash. Guess who thought that? If you don't know, you are the most retarded person on earth. Well, looks like we got ourselves a special bunch here, Anko said with her creepy smile. Then Akusa Genin Shunshin next to Anko with her kunai in his tongue. Doob OMG, here's your kunai back, Anko-san, the long-haired Kusanin said. Arigato, now go back with your team, and just because you're excited doesn't mean you have let off bloodlust, Anko said. The Kusanin shuddered. Gomen, it's just that your kunai cut a strand of my hair, and when somebody does that I get really riled up, he said, and then walked back to his team. Right now that that's done, Anko stated, she then went to the desk in front of the gate where Izumo and Kotetsu were sitting. She returned with a big stack of papers. These are consent forms you have to sign in case any, how should I put this, casualties occur during this exam, Anko said. You mean if there is a death or deaths? Naruto asked. Precisely, Anko replied. The genin then signed the forms and gathered back at the main entrance of the forest. Now let me explain the rules of this exam. You are to get 2 scrolls before the exam begins, one of earth and one of heaven, she began. She then pulled out 2 scrolls from her pockets. The black scroll on the left was earth and the white one on the right was heaven. Your goal is to obtain the other scroll from the other teams by any means necessary. What I mean is, if you get an earth scroll you fight for a heaven and vice versa. Then once that is done you head straight for the tower, which is located in the exact center of the forest, and also you have 5 days to complete this exam, and once you reach the tower you can open your scrolls, for if you open them during the exam you'll regret it. Anko explained. The genin nodded. Good, now go and stand in front of the gates assigned to you, she ordered. The genin teams all went to Izumo and Kotetsu and received their gates numbers and stood in front of them. Team 8 Gate 1. We'll go for an ambush and then head straight to the tower, Shino said. Alright, let's do this, Kiba said. Akamaru yipped in agreement and Hinata nodded. Team 10 Gate 2. Looks like we'll go for the weakest team, Choji stated. Then I guess Naruto's our target, Ino said. Hold on guys, we're gonna have to rethink this. I would have gone for Naruto too, but judging from that little display before, Naruto has most likely improved a great deal, Shikamaru added. Team 10 then sighed as they tried to think up a new plan. Kusa-nin Team Gate 3. Head straight for Team 7 inches, the long-haired one said. His teammates nodded and prepared themselves for the exam to start. Kabuto's Team Gate 4. Hope you make it through Team 7 feet, Kabuto thought, adjusting his glasses. Team 7 Heaven Scroll. Gate 5. So Naruto, what's the plan? Sasuke asked. Naruto looked at Sasuke. Why me? He asked. Because Naruto, you were the one who came up with our strategies when we fought Kakashi-sensei, and that makes you the leader figure, Sakura answered. Naruto sighed. Okay, we'll navigate through the forest and find a suitable place to make camp. Then once we do that we go and search for other teams, take their scrolls and then race towards the tower. But if it's not the scroll we need, we return to camp, rest up, and continue this for the next 5 days, and just in case we get separated we'll need a password. I go with Kyuubi because no one will expect that, Naruto said. Sasuke and Sakura looked at each other and nodded. Excellent plan, Naruto. You might make it to Hokage after all, Sakura said. Arigato, Sakura-chan. With Anko. Okay, the test starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, start, she yelled. The gates all opened and the genin raced into the forest of death. 5 minutes later the screams of terror and death filled the air. Already, Kami, these kids suck, Anko said while munching on a stick of dango. With Team 8 was waiting for a team to trigger their trap. The trap consisted of a basic tripwire trap which catches the team in a net, and then the forest leeches which occasionally drop down from the tree will land on them, judging from Shino's calculations, and suck them of both blood and chakra, and they will then take the scroll. This then happened a few seconds later. Kiba searched the team and found a heaven scroll. Kuso, not the scroll we need, let's go guys, Kiba exclaimed, and then Hinata, Shino and Kiba headed out to look for their scroll. With Team 7, Naruto and the others were traveling through the forest looking for a suitable campsite. They quickly found a clear area which had a nearby river full of tasty fish and other supplies needed for survival. They set up their supplies and then returned to the forest to look for an earth scroll. As they jumped through the trees, Naruto sniffed the air, and then paused on his tree branch. What is it, Naruto ni? Sakura asked. Naruto looked back. I have to take a leak, he said with a sheepish grin. Sakura and Sasuke backed away from him in disgust. Ni-san, don't tell us that, Sasuke said as they dropped to the ground. Naruto then went behind a rather large tree. A zipper sound was heard and then the sighs of relief as liquid waste products were released from Naruto's body. Then a yell of annoyance was heard. Kuso, can't a guy take leak without being disturbed? Naruto exclaimed from behind his tree. Pow! A body then flew out from the tree and landed at Sakura's feet. Naruto then walked out looking awfully pissed. Sasuke then searched the aim genin as identified by his Hitai-8, and found a heaven scroll. Sakura then said how they should keep it for negotiation purposes. The boys agreed and then they continued their search for an earth scroll. They landed on the ground and then did a small scout, but then Naruto sensed something. Move! He yelled as he pushed Sasuke and Sakura to the ground. A large gust of wind then blew from in front of them. Sasuke and Sakura had managed to glue themselves to the ground with chakra, but Naruto was too slow and then flew off a good few meters. Naruto Ni-san! Sasuke and Sakura yelled as they saw their brother-in-law, but blood being blown away into the distance. Cuckoo, a voice laughed in the distance. The couple then looked in front and saw the Kusunin team in front of them. Go and see if the blonde one is still alive. If he is, kill him, the long-haired one said. He wore a kanji on his outfit for death. His teammates, one which had on a mask which looked like a skull and wore a kanji for punishment and a fat one who wore the kanji for pain, nodded and then sped off in the direction Naruto blew away. Hello Sasuke-kun, I've always wanted to meet you, Kusunin said. Sasuke looked with disgust at the man. Are you a pedophile? Ah, pedophilic emo, Sasuke screamed. Sakura gasped in horror and then said anything a normal girl would say, ew. I am not, so shut up, the Kusunin said, releasing killer intent. This caused Sasuke and Sakura to freeze in their spots in fear. This killer intent is so intense, can't move, Sakura thought. Sasuke then struggled to move, but his body won't respond. The Kusunin then took out 2 kunai from his pocket and chuckled. Cuckoo, now die, he said and flung the kunai at the 2 of them. Sasuke then forced his body to move. He took a kunai and stabbed himself, removing his fear with pain, and then grabbed Sakura and jumped away into the brush. Interesting, destroying his fear with pain. This Uchiha is more astounding than Itachi-san, he thought, licking his lips in anticipation, and then followed the genin. With Naruto groaned as he got up, his head felt like it had been smacked with Zabuza, Zanpakuto. That wind sure hits hard, Naruto said. Naruto then surveyed his surroundings. He saw trees and would you guess it, more trees. Naruto sighed, but then he heard some bushes rustle nearby. He turned around, his kunai gripped in his hand in case it was an enemy. Naruto relaxed a bit when he saw a little rabbit hop out of the bushes, but then instantaneously went back on guard when a kunai whizzed past his ear and killed the poor rabbit. Naruto looked at where the kunai came from and saw that one long-haired Kusunin's teammates, Pain and Punishment AN. I'm gonna call them that since like I don't know their names and stuff. Anyways, back to the story. Naruto backed up a bit as Pain and Punishment stepped towards him. Kagebunshin no Jutsu, Naruto yelled and 10 clones poofed into existence. The 2 Kusunins then froze, not expecting that, but quickly recovered when the clones rushed them. Pain dodged a clone's punch and then returned a punch of his own, ending the clone's life. Another clone tried to slash him with a kunai, but Pain took his own kunai and blocked it, followed by a fast kick to clone's face and then threw his kunai into the heart of another. However, he was too slow to dodge a fast kick to his gut, knocking the air out of his lungs. The another clone then continued the combo with a punch to Pain's face, followed by another clone's spin kick to the side of the head and then the finisher. A clone grabbed Pain's neck and using all its strength threw him up and then rapidly appeared above Pain and delivered a powerful axe kick to Pain's face. KitsuneDragon, Fox's Barrage, the clone Naruto yelled as Pain rocketed to the ground and then created a meter-wide crater in the ground, dead. Punishment, who had destroyed one of the remaining clones, watched in anger as his teammate was defeated by the blonde Gaki. Turning his head towards the original Naruto, who was cheering on his clones, making motions with his fists and feet like someone would do when they were watching a fighting flick. Punishment rushed up to Naruto, kunai in hand, and stabbed Naruto in the heart. Naruto looked at Punishment with a surprised look on his face before it turned to a foxy grin. Naruto poofed away, revealing it was a Kagebunshin he stabbed, and it was in that moment Naruto decided to finish off punishment with his most powerful jutsu taught to him by the Kyuubi no Kitsune himself. Flashback: Naruto was in his mindscape doing some mental training by playing chess with Kyuubi, who was in his fox form. Kyuubi moved his knight forward with his tail. "Check," Kyuubi said with a grin as his knight had Naruto's king in its sights. Naruto then took it out with his queen, making Kyuubi's grin change to a scowl. Kyuubi moved his queen and then ended his turn. Naruto then grinned and moved his rook. "Checkmate," Naruto said. Kyuubi sighed in defeat while Naruto got up and did his victory dance, which was doing some sort of disco move. Naruto then turned to the 9,000-year-old demon lord of foxes. "Alright Tsu-san, you said if I win I get to learn a new jutsu, so what is it?" Naruto asked in anticipation. Kyuubi then thought and thought, and thought, until a light bulb appeared, indication of an idea. Kyuubi scowled. "Kid, how many times have I told you stop doing the light bulb thing? It was funny the first time, but now you're just killing it." Naruto chuckled and then let the light bulb poof out of existence. Naruto had the ability to make things in his mind, anything he wants. "Alright kid, the jutsu I'm about to teach you is a very powerful one and must only be used when you are separated from your teammates," Kyuubi stated. Naruto looked at Kyuubi with a puzzled look. "Why Kyuubi Tsu-san?" Naruto asked. "Because, Naruto kid, this jutsu is so powerful it destroys everything but the user in a 20 featuring radius," Kyuubi answered. Naruto was absolutely stunned. The jutsu was that powerful. This jutsu creates a sphere of fire formed from the fires of the legendary phoenix itself. A silhouette of the phoenix appears, and then when the technique hits it, encases its victim in a sphere of flames. The name of this jutsu is End Flashback. Phoenix Rasenkafuria no Jutsu, Phoenix Spiraling Fire Flare Jutsu, Naruto yelled. Punishment turned around, feeling a high concentration of chakra, to find Naruto holding a sphere of white and blue flame in his palm. The heat coming off it made Punishment feel as if he was melting. Naruto then ran towards Punishment, but as he was about to dodge he froze in his spot when he saw the silhouette of a gigantic bird made completely of flames following Naruto as he made his way to him. Naruto then thrust the sphere forward into Punishment's stomach. The phoenix then let out a loud screech, like that of a hawk. The sphere in Naruto's hand then expanded, engulfed the both of them in a spinning sphere of fire, and then an explosion, which, like Kyuubi said, destroyed everything, except Naruto, in a 20 featuring radius. The explosion was heard all over the forest and caused some people to cower in fear from the amount of chakra that was expelled from it. After the explosion, there stood Naruto, who was crying, inside of a 15 featuring deep crater. The phoenix silhouette gave one last cry before disappearing in a poof of ash. Naruto then looked at his hands and then his whole body as if he didn't know who he himself was. He had just killed. "It's alright kid, it's part of every ninja's life to kill. The first kill is always the hardest to overcome," Kyuubi said in a comforting tone. Naruto then sniffled a little bit before rising to his feet. "You're right, I can't let this hold me back. I need to become Hokage and save Sasuke ni-san and Sakura ne-chan," Naruto thought. "Atta boy, let's go." Naruto nodded, and then with newfound determination he sniffed the air and found Sasuke's and Sakura's scents and then leapt into the trees to find them. With Sasuke and Sakura were exhausted. They just finished avoiding that weird snake like Kusa-nin's snake summon. Did this guy ever run out of those things? They were resting against a tree and were breathing hard from all that jumping and running. Sakura then saw a giant snake appear behind Sasuke, who was facing her. Sakura was about to shout when Sasuke covered her mouth. "No, shush Sakura, we can't give away our location," Sasuke told his girlfriend. Sakura noticed the scared look in his eyes, but that didn't stop her. She removed Sasuke's hand from her mouth. "Snake," she yelled. Sasuke turned around and saw the humongous reptile poised to strike them, but Sasuke in a rush of adrenaline jumped up and threw a flurry of shuriken at the snake. The snake then let out a hiss of pain as it fell to the ground, dead. Sasuke let out a breath of relief, but then looked up in surprise when he heard a squishing sound. The Kusa-nin emerged from the head of the snake's carcass. The prey must never let down their guard when they are still hunted by the predator. "Kukuku," he said as he stepped down onto the thick tree branch where Sasuke and Sakura rested. Sasuke then grabbed Sakura and jumped up to a higher branch. Sasuke watched in horror as the Kusa-nin did something much unexpected. His body seemed to compress together as he slithered, that's right, slithered, up the trunk of the tree, fangs bared to bite. Sasuke froze in fear. We're gonna die, Okami-sama helps us please, please, Sasuke mentally screamed. The Kusa-nin's movements were halted when a flurry of kunai and shuriken appeared in front of him. The three people turned their heads to see the and only, Uzumaki Naruto, standing on a branch with a confident grin on his face. Naruto ni-san, Sasuke and Sakura yelled. Naruto then jumped down to Sasuke's branch. Gomen Nasai, guys, I was held up by this guy's goons, so are you guys alright? Naruto asked. Yeah, Sakura replied, but as you can see this pedophilic snake freak has been chasing us and we lost one of our heaven scrolls. Naruto glared at him, but then heard Kyuubi roar loudly within his mind. Naruto had never heard such a feeling of anger from Kyuubi before unless. You guys take a rest, I'll fight him now, Naruto said. To-san, is this him? Naruto asked. Yes it is Kit, so just do me a favor and kick this Baka Yaro's ass and tell him no one messes with the son of the Kyuubi. You got it, Naruto replied. Okay Orochimaru, time for you to go down, Naruto said. Sasuke, Sakura and the Kusa-nin looked at Naruto surprised. Naruto, how do you know who this is? Sasuke asked. This is the guy that forced Kyuubi to attack the village, the Nuke Nin, former Konoha Sannin who has the ability to summon snakes and also has the attributes of a snake, Naruto answered. Sasuke and Sakura then joined in the glaring with Naruto as they stared down the Kusa-nin. Kukukuku, very good Naruto-kun, I see your tenant still remembers me, Orochimaru said while clapping for them in a mocking way. Naruto growled, his eyes flashing from red to blue and back repeatedly before finally settling for the red-slitted eyes of Kyuubi. Orochimaru, you will pay for your insolence and now you shall face my wrath for injuring my family and forcing my father to attack Konoha. Now face the wrath of the son of Kyuubi RRROOOAARRR. Naruto yelled in anger. Naruto then blurred away and appeared in front of Orochimaru and punched him hard in the face, sending him flying. The hubby Sannin crashed into a tree, but quickly recovered, blocking a punch from Naruto which was intended to hit his stomach. Naruto grinned, showing his sharp teeth, in amusement before poofing away. Kagebunshin no Jutsu, the hubby Sannin thought and was hit in the back of his head from a swift kick courteous of our blonde-haired hero. Sasuke and Sakura watched in amazement as Naruto kept landing punch after punch, kick after kick on Orochimaru, not letting up for a second. I never knew Naruto ni-san could be this strong, Sakura thought, her head flashing back and forth trying to keep track of his movements. Naruto, I know the Kyuubi is the one who is allowing you to have the strength to fight this guy, but why am I so jealous? Sasuke thought with gritted teeth. Naruto was about to do the fishing move of a KitsuneDragon, but was halted when Orochimaru grabbed Naruto with his tongue by the neck. Naruto growled in anger, the yukai flowing from him like a river. Kukukuku, Gomen Naruto-kun, but no more yukai from your To-san, ha ha ha. Orochimaru said with an evil laugh. He then raised up Naruto Black Fox t-shirt showing the seal as bright as day. He then rapidly formed some hand signs and then the hubby Sannin's fingertips on his right hand then glowed with purple fire. Gogyo Fuin, 5-pronged seal, he said and slammed his hand into Naruto's stomach. Naruto screamed in pain as the yukai left him and he fainted. No Kit, no, Kyuubi yelled in fear for his Kit. The forest in Naruto's mentally made meadow suddenly was caught in a funnel of fire with Kyuubi in the center of it. Kyuubi then let out a howl as he tried to escape his fiery prison, failing which the Kyuubi did something he had not done in 200 years. He cried as he felt Naruto fall into the darkness of unconsciousness. Naruto ni-san, Sakura yelled as she heard Naruto scream. Orochimaru then threw Naruto off the tree, but luckily she caught him by throwing a kunai, pinning his shirt and jacket to the trunk of a thick tree. Sasuke was angry now. No one does this to his family, no one. Sasuke's anger spiked, chakra flared and the blood-red irizes of the Sharingan flashed into his eyes, the two black tomos spinning wildly in his eyes. Orochimaru, feeling the chakra spike, looked up and saw Sasuke glaring at him, the Sharingan blazing as if staring into his soul. Orochimaru licked his lips, this was the moment he was waiting for. Sasuke then told Sakura to wait here and then gave her a kiss before jumping down to face Orochimaru. Naruto ni, you have been the light that shone through my path of darkness and have helped me a lot, now it's my turn to help you. Your sacrifice will not be in vain, Sasuke thought. Sasuke then rushed Orochimaru, moving so fast he created an after image. Orochimaru then did the same. Sasuke then jumped and did a front flip over Orochimaru's head. He then skidded a few feet while throwing a few shuriken, but Orochimaru deflected them all with a kunai. Sasuke once again rushed him, this time going into the stance of the Golden Rukin, Golden Dragon Fist. He then went and attempted a punch, but Orochimaru blocked it and tried a sweep kick, but Sasuke jumped high over it and blew out a Kaden, Gukaku no Jutsu. The giant fireball hit the Hubby Sannin and created a boom. Sasuke took a deep before going back into the stance. When the smoke cleared there was nothing, but a charred log. Kawarimi no Jutsu, Sasuke thought as he looked around for the snake. Orochimaru was hiding behind a tree near Sasuke and was rubbing his sore arm that he used to block Sasuke's punch. Kuso, he hits hard, which makes me want him even more, Orochimaru said with a perverted and creepy smile. He then rushed to attack Sasuke, but Sasuke reacted fast enough and did a back flip over Orochimaru's slide tackle. He then landed firmly on his feet and then tried a flying kick. The snake dodged the kick and then the brawl started. Sasuke kept fighting with all his heart and skill, using every taijutsu move he knew for the Golden Rukin, but the Sannin kept blocking his attacks. Sasuke then saw an opening and hit Orochimaru in the stomach, making him double over in pain. Sasuke then grabbed him and threw him off the tree branch they were fighting on, making it so the Hubby Sannin was falling head first. Sasuke also jumped off and wrapped his legs around the snake's neck and bound his legs with his arms. The fall then ended when Orochimaru's head smashed into the thick branch of a tree, creating a thick cloud of smoke. Sakura jumped down, retrieved Naruto and then hopped onto the branch above them, careful not to interfere with the fight. She smiled thinking Sasuke had won, but then gasped when she saw that Sasuke was standing front of a glop of mud. Another Kawarimi, she thought. Time skip an. Getting boring typing up the whole fight. How could he have survived Sasuke's Kaden, Ruka no Jutsu, fire style, Dragon Fire Jutsu? Sakura thought in disbelief. Orochimaru's neck then extended and bit Sasuke on the crook of his neck. Sasuke screamed and gasped in pain as he clutched his where Orochimaru bit him on the neck, the curse seal forming on that spot before fainting from the pain and exhaustion. Kukukuku, a little present before I go, don't forget Sasuke needs power to fulfill his ambition and I can give it to him. Sooner or later, he will seek me out, in the lust for power, Orochimaru said and then sunk into the trunk of a tree, leaving a crying Sakura with an unconscious Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke. Some secluded part of the forest, Sakura laid out some traps for enemies while she nursed the boys back to health. She tucked her long pink hair behind her hair as she watched Naruto and Sasuke sleep. These two, they fought so hard just to protect me. Well, Naruto also did his fight for Sasuke and Kyuubi, but I guess it's along the same lines, she thought. She then heard a rustle in the bushes and drew her kunai. She was relieved when T was shown to only be a squirrel, but then threw the kunai to scare the squirrel when it headed for the traps, so when it ran back into the woods, Sakura returned to watching the boys. A few minutes later, Sakura heard another rustle in the bushes and saw a trio of Otobuker ninja walking toward her. One of the ninja was a boy, had long gray hair, I think, who looked like a mummy and wore a long-sleeved jacket, black pants and a silver-like gauntlet. The other boy had spiky brown hair and wore a black pants with a vest shirt with the kanji for kill on it. The final one was a girl who had a short-sleeved green t-shirt and a camouflage jacket with long black pants and had long black hair. Hello, said the mummified one, I am Dosu and this Kin and Zaku, and we are here to kill someone. Zaku then interrupted and then pointed at the unconscious Sasuke. We are here to kill Uchiha Sasuke, he said in a cocky tone and then began to laugh loudly before being hit in the head by Kin. He's asleep, so please just go away, Sakura said in an angry tone. Well then wake him up, now. Zaku insisted and then started to walk towards them. Sakura grinned as he was walking straight into her trap. Stop, Zaku, this is a trap. The ground we are standing on is not fertile soil, not a place where grass can grow, Dosu said, examining the ground. Zaku laughed as he bragged about not falling for the trap. Sakura then became paranoid and then set off the first trap, which was to send a flurry of shuriken and kunai at them, but Zaku used some sort of mechanism in his hand to blow them back. Sakura then activated the second trap, a large pit which just happened to be located where they were standing. However, the Oto Genins noticed that two and jumped, but were completely caught by surprise when there was a third trap. A giant log was headed for them, but then Dosu blew it to splinters with his gauntlet. Very nice traps, miss, but not good enough to stop us, Dosu said. Sakura then drew her kunai and began to fight. Due to being outnumbered and outskilled, Sakura was caught by her long hair by Kin. Kin then began to mock her and call her a stupid excuse for a ninja. This got Sakura so angry she cut off her pink locks, making it reach her neck. She then escaped and performed the Zenban Zakura, slashing and stabbing with her kunai under the cover of her genjutsu. However, she had wasted a lot chakra and the Sakura Blossom genjutsu was dispelled and there stood 3 bloody Oto genins. "Kuso, you'll pay for that," Zaku said in anger and rushed her. He grabbed her by the hair and smashed her face into the ground repeatedly until Zaku felt an ominous chakra. There stood Sasuke and Naruto awake and angry, facing killer intent towards the Oto genin. "Sakura Ne-chan, who did this to you?" Naruto asked, angry, his blood-red eyes staring at the 3 Oto genin. His claws twitched, wanting ripped flesh from bone, and his whisker marks more prominent, making him look like a cat of some sort. "Answer him, Sakura-chan. Arigato to protecting us for this long, but we'll take over now." Sasuke said. He was covered with black markings that resembled flames, his Sharingan blazing and covered in purple chakra. "I did this," Zaku answered in his cocky tone. Sasuke and Naruto then looked up from Sakura to Zaku. "Then you die today," they said. Zaku laughed and then said, "Zenkaha," he yelled, and then the holes in his hands sent a strong gust of wind at the two. Naruto then held out his arm and slashed downward, sending the winds off course. Then Zaku tried an even stronger Zenkaha and caused a huge dust cloud. The cloud cleared and the place where Naruto and Sasuke stood was empty. "Ha, I blew them away," he exclaimed. "Blew who away?" said 2 voices behind Zaku. Zaku turned to see 2 fists before they smashed into his face, ending him flying. He then got up a few seconds later, and then Naruto and Sasuke shunshin behind him, and then they each grabbed one his arms and then planted one their feet on each shoulder blade and began to pull. Zaku screamed and screamed until a loud snap was heard. Zaku moaned in pain and then blacked out. The 2 feet demons turned to Dosu next, but Dosu said, "I surrender, please take my earth scroll and leave us alone," placing the scroll on the ground. Dosu then took his teammate and then he and Kin jumped away. When Dosu left, the killer intent and bloodlust left them, and then they both fell to their knees in exhaustion. Sakura cried tears of joy to see the boys back to their old selves, and then after Sakura picked up the earth scroll, and now having both scrolls needed for the test, the 3 of them headed straight for the tower. Naruto, Sakura and Sasuke entered the tower, which had taken a while to find, and getting attacked by other teams and giant animals, covered with cuts and scrapes. Naruto and Sasuke were the ones who were really exhausted. Apparently the use of the curse seal and the Kaibi's Yukai had taken a larger toll on their bodies than expected. They then stared at the heaven and earth scrolls held in Naruto's hands. They looked at one another and nodded to each other. Naruto handed the heaven scroll to Sakura, and very carefully they opened the scrolls and they saw bewildered them. There in the center of the scroll was the kanji for human. "Human, mankind, what's that supposed to mean?" Sakura asked. No one answered, but then the scrolls in their hands began to smoke from the kanjis. Sasuke's eyes widened in surprise. "Sakura, Naruto, drop the scrolls now," he yelled to them. Naruto and Sakura then threw the steaming scrolls away like as if it was about to explode, which it did. A large plume of smoke appeared when the scrolls hit the ground and the shadow of something could be seen inside it. "Hey guys, long time no see," the figure said. "Wait, Sasuke began. The smoke cleared to reveal our very own scar-nosed Chunin, Yumi no Iruka. Iruka looked at them with a smile. "You guys look like you've been through a lot," he said. Iruka then noticed something hit his chest and caused him to fall flat on his butt. "Iruka-sensei," Naruto yelled in happiness. Iruka looked at the whisker-marked genin and then ruffled Naruto's hair. "Good to see you too, Naruto," Iruka said with a smile. "Iruka-sensei, what were you doing inside a summoning scroll?" Sakura asked. Iruka got Naruto off of him and then got up. "Good question, Sakura. I'm here to congratulate you on passing the second part of the Chunin exams, and by my calculations you are 2 days early, meaning you can rest for the next 2 days, Iruka said, looking at a pocket watch he took out. Team 7 was silent. They had just passed the second round of their very first Chunin exams. Then the silence was broken when Naruto started to jump up and down and whooping with joy. Sakura and Sasuke sat down, their legs too tired to support their weight. "I see you haven't slowed down a bit, Naruto. I would treat you guys to Ichiraku, but," Iruka inquired. Sasuke looked up. "Yeah, but that's life," he said with a shrug. Sakura then looked around the room and noticed a plaque on the wall. Iruka-sensei, what's that plaque for? It looks like moth have been at it and why are there spaces in between some of the words? Iruka looked at where Sakura was looking. Oh right, I nearly forgot, that's the real reason I'm here, Iruka said. Naruto stopped jumping around and looked at his former sensei. What do you mean, the real reason you're here? Naruto asked. Iruka looked at the heaven and earth scrolls on the ground. Well, first let me tell you the true purpose of this exam. It was to test your skills in being able to survive and also your trust. Iruka said. Trust? Sasuke said. Iruka nodded. Well, on some missions, you might be asked to deliver an important item that is not supposed to be opened until it is delivered to your client, and also you must not cave into pressure. Remember, Chunin are the team commanders in almost every mission, and trust and strength will embody your important qualities in being one, Iruka said. The genin nodded before asking about the plaque again. Now you see, that plaque has a speech written by the Hokage himself to guide all to be Chunin. The blank spaces are filled in by either the words heaven or earth, such as in the third line. That space is filled in by heaven, meaning you need to raise your mind to greater heights. For example, if Naruto hopes to become Hokage, he must first get focus and become serious about his studies, Iruka began. Sakura and Sasuke chuckled at this, but Naruto scowled. I am smart, I was hiding it during the academy, Naruto thought. And, Iruka continued, gaining back the genin's attention. If you require the attribute of earth, in which you need to gain the strength to fight off any opponent and survive any challenge, like Sakura, who is skinny as a twig, needs to build some stamina and strength if she hopes to become Chunin, Iruka said. Naruto and Sasuke chuckled at her. Sakura then blushed in embarrassment. And if you require both skills of heaven and earth, then you can complete any mission without fail, Iruka finished. Hi, sensei, Naruto said. Iruka didn't answer, which caused Naruto to get a bit uneasy. Listen guys, these exams are tough and grueling and some people have even died in them. I'm just worried about you Rookie 9, especially you Naruto. Your fiery temper tends to interfere with your judgment, Iruka said in a sad tone. Naruto's eyes flashed red for a second. Iruka-sensei, I am not a kid anymore. This hit I ate you gave me is proof of my maturity. I'm a Konoha shinobi, understand? Naruto said with a tone of confidence. Iruka looked shocked. He had never heard Naruto speak like this before, but then that shock turned to a smile. Kakashi, you really do know these kids more than I do now, he thought. I understand Naruto. Now go to the rooms assigned to you while you wait for the next 2 days. Hi, they answered, but then Naruto stopped mid-step. Iruka-sensei, I want Sasuke and me to go speak with Gigi. Sure Naruto, this way. Sasuke, Naruto and Iruka then left to go to the Hokage while Sakura went to go to her room, but then she smelled something, and it smelled like food. She yelled and raced off in the direction of the smell. With the Hokage, Anko was on the chair in the Hokage's office with her shoulder open to all those present, the curse seal mark given to her by her former mentor Orochimaru. Does the curse mark still hurt? Sarutobi asked her. Anko adjusted the shoulder of her coat. Much less. Arigato Hokage-sama, Anko said. Sarutobi nodded. Kotetsu and Izumo, who were in the room, looked at their leader. Hokage-sama, isn't Orochimaru one of the 3 Sannin of Konoha that became a Nuke Nin? Kotetsu asked. Sarutobi looked at the Chunin and nodded. I thought he went into hiding or maybe died, so why reappear now? Izumo asked. The Sandame took a puff of his pipe. Because, Izumo, Kotetsu, he is here for Uchiha Sasuke. He answered. The 2 Chunin were shocked at what they just heard. They then decided not press on the matter any further and watched the screen where a camera showed the teams who made it to the tower. Knock knock. The Hokage looked at the door. Enter, he said. The door opened and the people he least expected to come arrived through his door. Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke stepped through the door. Hey Gigi, what's up? Naruto said with his signature foxy grin. The Hokage looked at the 2 boys before welcoming them. So what are you 2 doing here? Sarutobi asked. Well, Sasuke and I want you to look at our seals, Naruto said. Naruto, the Sandame said in an angry tone. He knows. Sakura too, Naruto said in a calm tone. Sarutobi then calmed down and then Naruto lifted his shirt up to show his stomach. He then channeled chakra and the Kyuubi's seal became visible, but over the Kyuubi's seal was the Gogyo Fuin. Ah, I see the problem. Apparently there's been an odd-numbered seal placed over the original 8 trigram seal. Okay Naruto, just sit still and I'll get rid of it, Sandaime said. He then flashed through hand signs and then his fingertip glowed with green fire. Gogyo Fuin Kai, 5-pronged seal release, he shouted. Naruto gasped as the wind got knocked out of him from the Hokage's fingers being thrusted into his stomach. He fell to his hands and knees to catch his breath, but got up a few seconds later. In Naruto's mindscape the fiery vortex instantly vanished and Kyuubi began to hop around and howl with joy. Outside mindscape, hey Kit, miss me, Kyuubi said with a grin. "2-san you're back, Sugoi." Naruto then told Kyuubi about what happened before the seal was removed. Sasuke then stepped forward and showed Sarutobi the curse mark. "Oh Sasuke, I'm very sorry, but I don't know how to get rid of that seal, but I can make a seal to prevent its influence, but the seal's strength relies on your willpower to remain intact," he said. "I don't care, I don't want to go with that pedophilic snake Baka, do it," Sasuke said. Sarutobi nodded and then applied the seal. "All done, you boys can go now," Sarutobi said with a grandfatherly smile. "Arigato," they said and left the room with smiles on their faces. Outside Hokage's office, to the cafeteria, Naruto said with his foxy grin. Sasuke chuckled, "To the cafeteria my brother, away." Sasuke yelled and the two boys sped off to meet Sakura at the cafe. At the cafe Sakura was sitting at a table with a plate piled high with food. There were burgers, fries, ice cream, salads, toast, eggs, ramen, onigiri and many other delicacies. Naruto and Sasuke walked in and saw the leaning tower of Sakura. Their mouths agape, they grabbed their plates, got their food, but not as much as Sakura, and sat with her. "Sakura, I thought girls wanted to watch their figure not become sumo wrestlers," Naruto said. Sakura looked at them and giggled, "Of course I can't eat all this, I got this stuff for you guys, this is my food," she said moving aside the large tray of food and behind it was a salad, a couple onigiri and a bottle of water. The two boys sighed in relief before grabbing the leaning tower of food and scarfing it all down, taking sips of water in between, and in a time of 10 minutes the mountain was reduced to a pile of breadcrumbs, dribbles of ice cream and splatters of ramen soup mixed with rice grains. "Ah, that was good," Naruto said with a little anime smoke cloud puffing out of his mouth when he belched. Sasuke nodded, patting his fat stomach, and belched loudly. Sakura was staring wide-eyed, sure she finished, but she didn't expect the boys to finish in that amount of time. "How did you guys do that?" Sakura asked. "It's a male thing Sakura, nay Naruto," Sasuke said. Naruto nodded before getting up. "I'm gonna go take a nap, later guys," Naruto said with a wave. "Bye Naruto," they both said as they watched their teammates retreating back. "So wanna go to the room, Sasuke?" Sakura said with a sly grin on her face. Sasuke's face brightened before grabbing Sakura's arm and racing off to her room with Sakura laughing loudly throughout the tower. In Naruto's mindscape, Naruto was sitting once again at the chess table playing with Kyuubi. Kyuubi sent his rook into the fight and took out Naruto's knight. Naruto grinned and then sent his queen, killing Kyuubi's last knight and putting the king in check. Kyuubi moved his king out of harm's way, and while doing so an opportunity for checkmate, but hoped Naruto didn't notice it. Kyuubi's praying T-Kami worked, for Naruto moved his pawn forward and Kyuubi sent in his rook and put Naruto in checkmate. Kyuubi's in human form by the way. "I win Kit, good game though," Kyuubi said with his vulpine grin. Naruto sighed and said, "2-san I let you win, I noticed the opening and I felt sorry for you since I always won after our very second game." Kyuubi scowled before turning his back on Naruto and pouted like a little child. Naruto laughed and then got pee to stretch his aching muscles from sitting down for so long. "Okay Kit, new technique time for during your fight," Kyuubi said. Naruto's eyes sparkled and then grabbed Kyuubi by his arm. "Arigato," he said with a smile. Kyuubi chuckled before prying his kid off his arm. "Okay Kit, here take this piece of paper," Kyuubi said holding out a square piece of paper to Naruto. Naruto took the paper and looked at it quizzically. "What is this Kyuubi 2-san?" he asked. Kyuubi looked at Naruto and went into lecture mode. Naruto looked at Kyuubi and paled. "Oh no, not another boring lecture. Kid, are you familiar with the 5 jutsu elements of wind, water, fire, lightning and earth?" Kyuubi asked Naruto. Naruto nodded. "But what does this have to do with the paper?" Naruto asked. "That paper is no ordinary paper, it is a special paper which shows your chakra nature," Kyuubi said. Naruto gasped. What's chakra nature? He asked. Chakra nature is the elemental affinity of your chakra. For example, the Uchiha specialize in fire jutsu, so therefore they have a fire chakra affinity, so basically it is to show which field of jutsu you specialize in. Some people have 2 or 3 chakra affinities by Jonin level, but I feel there's something special about yours, Naruto, Kyuubi said. Naruto nodded at the explanation. So how do I work this? He asked. Just pump chakra into the paper, and depending on what happens to the paper will determine your chakra affinity. If the paper is cut, your wind; if the paper is burned, fire; if the paper crumples, lightning; paper becomes soaked, water; and if the paper turns to dust, earth. Understood? Kyuubi asked. Naruto nodded and then closed his eyes and focused his chakra into the piece of paper in his open palm. Then Kyuubi saw the most extraordinary thing happen. The paper was cut by a very powerful whirlwind into 4 pieces. One piece then burned, another crumpled, another became soaked, and the last piece turned to dust. Kyuubi was wide-eyed, slack-jawed and speechless. Naruto opened his eyes and saw what happened to the paper and grinned. Yada! I have all the elements of chakra, he yelled in a sing-song voice. Such a thing has not happened since, well, me. I thought I was the only one with the ability to have all 5 chakras, but I guess my ceiling in you has given you it, Kyuubi said. Naruto then stopped jumping and asked Kyuubi, so which jutsu will I learn? He asked. Well, I guess your abilities should have been noticeable since you were able to use those 5 elemental dragons from the scroll, Kyuubi said to himself, and then began muttering about other things. Naruto started to become very annoyed at this. Hey furball! Naruto yelled. Kyuubi looked at Naruto with murder in his eyes. Don't you ever call me furball again, young man, or else I won't teach you for a whole year. Kyuubi said in an angry tone. Naruto nodded as he tried not to pee his pants. So what will I be learning to, San? He asked again. Kyuubi thought for a few seconds before snapping his fingers with realization. Okay kid, your first of the many jutsus I will be teaching you is Reikurai no Jutsu, Thunderbolt Jutsu. It sends a concentrated bolt of lightning chakra from your fingertips and badly damages the opponent. The more chakra you add, the stronger it is. Observe, he said. Kyuubi then performed some hand signs. He then positioned his hand as if he was pointing at the tree with his pointer and middle fingers, the buzzing of electricity coming from his fingers. Then sparks started coming off from it, and then Kyuubi gave a yell and a powerful lightning bolt blasted the tree to bits. Naruto covered his eyes before thinking, Sugoi, amazing, and then with a smile began to try it himself. Kyuubi then stopped him. San, why did you stop me? Naruto asked. Because kid, you have to learn the necessary exercises to convert your ordinary chakra into the elemental chakra and master it. A light bulb, a leaf, a stick, and a small rock appeared in the Biju's hand. These objects are needed for mastering the conversion of chakra. If you can light this light bulb for more than 10 minutes, then you have mastered lightning chakra. To master wind, cut the leaf in half. To master earth, change the rock to mud. Light this stick ablaze for fire, and for water, go to the pond and try and make a water pillar 12 feet tall to master water. These were the exercises I was given by master for my elemental training. Kyuubi said, and as he said this the 9,000-year-old demon looked as if he'd aged a few more thousand years. Naruto then wondered how he would do all this within 2 days, for he wanted to learn before the fighting part of the exam started. Then a light bulb appeared above his head. Naruto growled and saw Kyuubi holding a light bulb. Not so funny when somebody does it, you, isn't it? Kyuubi said with a grin. Naruto then made the cross-shaped sign for his favorite jutsu. Taju Kagebunshin no Jutsu, Mass Shadow Clone Jutsu, he yelled, and then thousands of clones appeared. Okay guys, I made 4,900 of you, so including me there's 5,000 me's here, we'll be splitting into 5 groups, 1,000 me's in each group. Naruto then pointed at the first 1,000, you guys practice fire. He pointed at a next group, wind for you guys, he said. He pointed at 2 more groups for earth and water, and the final group will be you 999 will be with me for lightning training, understood? He asked his clones. A chorus of highs was heard, and the designated tool for each training exercise appeared in the hands of each clone. Kyuubi watched from the shade of an oak tree in Naruto's made-up meadow forest landscape. Remember kid, use your chakra only to do those exercises, the demon lord reminded his adopted son. The Narutos nodded and resumed their exercises. Kyuubi chuckled. Oh, the kid was going to be tired for a while. By a while I mean a long time after he was done with this and learning the Rakurai no Jutsu. Kyuubi then yawned, before going into his fox form, going into regular size, which by the way was huge, and fell asleep to sounds of Naruto's groaning in concentration as they tried the exercise. One day later, Naruto's mindscape, "Hey Tsu-san, check this out," Naruto said, waking up the large fox. Kyuubi blinked his eyes as they adjusted to the bright light of the sun made in Naruto's mind. The great Kyuubi yawned before looking down at his adopted son. "What kit?" the Lord of Foxes asked. Naruto then made a cross seal. "Kagebunshin no Jutsu," he said. 4 clones then poofed into existence, each one with the object used for each individual elemental exercise. The Naruto with the stick in his hand focused his chakra, and then a blazing yellow and red flame turned it to ashes. Kyuubi nodded with a grin. The one with the rock did the same, and the rock started to liquefy, forming mud. One then ran all the way to the pond and put his palm on the water. The clone focused his chakra, and then a pillar of water at least 15 feet tall sprang up before falling back down. The clone with the leaf placed the leaf between his hands and then focused his chakra. It then removed its hand, and there lay the leaf cut perfectly in half along the mid-vein, and then original Naruto made a lightbulb form in his hand. He then focused his chakra, and then the lightbulb lit. 10 minutes later, Naruto then cut off his chakra and the lightbulb flickered off. Kyuubi looked astonished. He had taken at least a month to finish these exercises, even with bunshins, but Naruto managed to do it within a day. "Kit, I have never been more proud than I am now. Good job. Now time for that Rakurai no Jutsu," he said. Naruto nodded and made some hand signs. Naruto then pointed out his pointer and middle fingers and placed his hand by his waist. He then began moving his hand in a circular motion. A humming sound was heard coming from it. Then when Naruto noticed sparks start to form on his fingertips, he thrust his hand out, and then a powerful lightning bolt shot from his hand and completely obliterated a tree, turning it into splinters. Kyuubi clapped his paws and chuckled. Jutsus he had learned that took at least weeks to learn, had been learned in a day by this boy. "Still prouder than ever, my boy. Now you have one more day before the Chunin exams, so get ready to learn a lot of jutsus and fall from chakra exhaustion." Naruto nodded. "Hi Kyuubi-sensei." Kyuubi chuckled. "Now then, let's begin." With Sakura and Sasuke, the two of them were lying down on Sakura's bed, sleeping in each other's arms, while Sakura was and she was snoring. Sasuke looked up at the ceiling with bags under his eyes. It was a wonder why Naruto, who was on the bed next to theirs, was still asleep. "Dear Kami, I couldn't sleep at all because of her snoring, but at least I got a whole lot of making out done with Sakura-chan, so it was totally worth it," the Uchiha survivor thought with a happy grin on his face. He then fell asleep, too tired to complain about Sakura's snoring. You know how you have one of those moments where you're so tired that you could block out any sound once you fall asleep? Yeah, that's what Sasuke just had. The Tower Cafe teams 8 and 10 had just reached the tower and were exhausted both mentally and physically from running from all those giant reptiles, mammals and insects. Kiba and Akamaru were rapidly making a huge piece of steak disintegrate into their mouths. Choji was the same as Kiba, except he was eating a mountain. No, not even a mountain, a fucking Mount Everest-sized plate of food, and was slowly, but surely eating away at it with all the speed he had. Shikamaru went to his room to sleep. Ino and Hinata had forgotten all about their manners that were taught to them and were rapidly eating away at the food placed before them. Shino was the only one with some dignity left and was using his cutlery to eat at some pancakes. After the meal, the two teams then left to their respective rooms to sleep and later discuss plans on how to fight their opponents. Team 10's room. After sleeping, "Alright guys, we're going to need to do some serious training if we want to become Chunin," Ino said, being the self-proclaimed leader of the team. Choji took out a bag of chips, while Shikamaru yawned. "Troublesome," he said. A vein appeared above Ino's eyebrows as her eye twitched in annoyance. "Come on guys, if we're gonna become Chunin we need to get serious," she yelled. Shikamaru covered his ears. "Do you have to yell? There are other people here too, you know." Ino then calmed down, as Shikamaru spoke. "Okay, Choji, these fights are most likely going to be one-on-one, so you need to make a strategy for yourself. Ino, you have to find a way to keep your enemies still if you're going to use your Shintention no Jutsu, mind transfer jutsu. Of course, if the opponent is a foreigner, you could have the element of surprise, seeing as they might not know the move, but you have to take precautions. As for me, you know how I operate," he said. Ino and Choji nodded, but then Choji asked, "Hey, how come we have to have strategies, but you don't?" Shikamaru sighed. "For 2 reasons. 1, it's too troublesome, and 2, I come with strategies once I have finished analyzing my opponents. I thought you knew that, Choji, he said. Choji nodded before going back to his bed and began eating his chips while thinking about how to fight his opponents. Ino also went to bed, while thinking what Choji was thinking, and Shikamaru yawned, muttered, "Troublesome Chunin exams will finally finish tomorrow," and then fell asleep on the floor, which actually turned to be pretty comfortable. Team 8's a room after their nap. "Ah, that was a pretty well-deserved rest," Kiba said with a yawn. "Yup," Hinata and Shino said. A moment of silence then spread throughout the room. Hinata then spoke up. "So, Kiba-kun, Shino-kun, what will we be doing about our fights during this last part of the exams?" Kiba and Shino looked at her with clueless looks. Hinata has learned to tell what Shino's expressions were after hanging around with him so much during their team training. "Well, I'm just gonna beat the shit out of whoever I'm facing, but I'm gonna forfeit immediately if we come up against your cousin, Neji," Kiba said. Hinata got angry when she heard her baka cousin's name. "Or that sand guy, he gives me the creeps, especially after what happened in the Forest of Death," he added. Hinata's anger quickly dissipated when she heard about Gaara, and Shino remained quiet as always as they remembered the incident. Akamaru whined in fear inside Kiba's jacket. Kiba, Hinata and Shino were jumping through the trees towards the tower, as they had just ambushed another team and got their Earth Scroll. Kiba then stopped and sniffed the air. "Hey guys, there's some people up ahead." Hinata then flashed through hand signs. Byakugan, the all-seeing evil eye. The veins around Hinata's eyes then became visible as her clan dojutsu was activated. Her vision then increased 100-fold as she looked a few kilometers ahead in the chakra signatures of the people Kiba smelt. "Around 3 people, but one of them has a strange chakra," she said. "Let's go check it out," Shino suggested. The other 2 nodded, and then quietly yet swiftly they jumped through the trees to the destination of the strange people. After jumping for a few minutes, they dropped to ground level and hid behind some bushes after sensing the chakra signatures of the strange 3 people. And as it turns out, those people were the Suna Genin team. In front of the Suna team there stood a team of AIM Genin. "Surrender your scroll and we'll let you live," the one in the middle said. The Suna team remained silent, until Gaara spoke. "I am Subaku no Gaara, and if you don't get out my way I'll kill you," he said in the tone of that of maniac. The AIM Genin trembled before taking out their battle umbrellas. "Eat this," they said. They threw their umbrellas into the air and then kept them up there and spun them with chakra. "AIM Senbon no Jutsu, raining Senbon Jutsu," the AIM team said. Then the spinning umbrellas released a huge wave of Senbon at Gaara. A thwacking sound was heard, a sign that the Senbon hit something. "We got him," the one on the left said. "Yeah, he's probably dead," the one on the right said. The smoke cloud created from the impact of the Senbon cleared, and there stood Gaara in all his glory with a wall of sand which blocked the Senbon. "Raining Senbon A, let's make rain blood instead," he said, getting a wild look in his eyes. The sand from the wall and some more sand from Gaara, now open gourd, flowed towards the AIM Genin. The sand then enveloped the 3. Gaara smiled evilly and thrust his hand out. "Subaku Q, sand coffin," he said. Gaara then closed his outstretched hand as if he was squeezing something. "Subaku Kosu, sand burial." The sand then imploded and crushed the ninja inside so fast they didn't even have time to scream. A large fountain of blood then blew out of the sand and fell onto the ground in front of Gaara. Hinata and her teammates were shocked at this Genin's show of power, skill, and not even show a hint of remorse when killing those 3 Genin. Kankuro then started shouting at Gaara as he picked up the scroll while Gaara and Temari just stood there. Kiba then hears something that sounded like, "I don't see you 2 as siblings, only as teammates, no more." The Gaara's team then jumped away, leaving a sick-looking Team 8 behind the bushes. End flashback. Team 8 then decided it was time for bed again as they needed a lot of rest for tomorrow. With Team 7 in Naruto's mindscape, Naruto was lying on the ground exhausted from his elemental jutsu training done with Kyuubi. "Kuso, my chakra is completely gone and I'm dead tired. I learned at least 20 elemental jutsus since I have all the chakra natures, but I didn't know the training would be this tough," the blonde Jinchuriki thought. Naruto then got up and walked over to Kyuubi, who was gazing into a pond. This one was a regular one, not the pond that makes him see what Naruto sees, looking at the multicolored koi fish swimming around like as if they were dancing. "Oi, hey to-san, I'm tired and the fights are tomorrow, so can I sleep now?" he asked with a yawn. The Fox Lord nodded and then returned to watching the fish. Naruto grinned before closing his eyes and he left his mindscape to sleep in the land of dreams aka reality. Outside Naruto's mindscape, Naruto woke with a start and saw a very kawaii, cute scene before him. Sasuke was lying on his back with his arm wrapped around Sakura's waist and Sakura resting her head on his chest. Naruto smiled and then shut his eyes and went back to sleep. Kobanwa, good night evening, Sasuke ni, Sakura ne, he said. The day of the Chunin exam finals, the Jonin instructors, Ibiki, Anko and the Hokage were standing in front of a large statue of a pair of hands in the ram sign in a large room before the various genin teams that survived the forest. The teams that survived were Gaara's team, the Rookie 9 and the Odo team and Kabuto's team. So the Rookie 9 made it, no wonder their Jonin instructors allowed them to take this exam, the Hokage thought. Uchiha Sasuke and you blonde-haired kid, you two will pay for breaking my arms, Zaku thought. So the Uchiha made, Neji thought with a smirk. Yoshgai sensei, I will make you proud. Lee mentally yelled. Naruto-kun's team made it, yay, Hinata thought. I'll beat that Sakura Tem for stealing Sasuke-kun from me, Ino thought. Welcome one and all to the annual Chunin exams. Now I will tell you that the reason we have this exam is to promote friendship between all our various villages. However, I see these exams as a so-called miniature war between us, Sarutobi said. A miniature war, Tenten said to herself with a confused look on her face. So let me reiterate before the third exam begins, you are taking no ordinary test. You are risking your very lives, hopes and dreams in order to do this exam, he said. Let's just hurry up and get to the fighting already, Gaara said with impatience. Oh, we have an eager one here, Sarutobi said with a chuckle. A poof of smoke then appeared in front of the sandane. A pale-looking man with messy raven black hair, bags under his eyes and looked like he had a bad cold appeared before the crowd. Gomen for interrupting Hokage-sama, but please allow me, Gekko Hayate, proctor of the third exam to speak, Hayate said. Very well, carry on, Sandane said with a puff of his pipe. Okay, anyone who wants to leave now, do so immediately, he said. Kabuto then raised his hand. Naruto looked surprised. Kabuto, why? Naruto said with a confused tone. Gomen Nasai Naruto, but in the forest of death, I damaged my inner ear due to a scuffle with some more Oto nins, therefore in this state I won't be able to go into situations which require combat, Kabuto explained. Naruto sighed before going silent and stared at the floor. Sasuke, maybe you should leave too, that mark could cause you a lot of trouble during the fights, Sakura whispered. Sasuke scratched the crook of his neck where the seal lay at bay by the protection seal. It's okay Sakura-chan, I can handle it, and Sandame-sama put a protection seal to prevent it from taking over like last time. But what if that seal fails, Sasuke-kun, what will you do then? Sakura said a bit louder. Sakura then began to raise her hand, but Sasuke stopped her. Sakura, Urasai, this exam is more than just an opportunity to become Chunin. It's a way to test my strength and fight the best of the best, Sasuke said as he remembered Gaara, Neji, Lee and the Oto nins. Naruto, who had been listening to all of this, began to get very angry at Sasuke's Avenger attitude. Sasuke, look, Sakura's just worried about you. Don't be stupid. If you know that the curse seal might affect you, then give up and stop trying to be cool, Naruto whispered loudly. Sasuke turned to Naruto with a smirk. Naruto ni-san, you are the one I want to fight the most. Naruto became silent as he looked at Sasuke as if he'd just grown a second head. Then Naruto smiled. Then don't lose because I want to fight you too, he replied. Kabuto had long left when Team 7's conversation ended. Okay, since that's it, we shall now start the preliminaries since there are still too many examinees in this place, so in order to reduce it we will have the prelims, Hayate said. The sickly Jonin turned to his fellow Jonin, Anko, and nodded. Anko then spoke into the headset she wore and then a whirring sound was heard as an electronic board appeared from a panel in the wall. The Genin looked at the board. Okay, you Genin, this electronic board will show the names of the two competitors who will fight while everyone else will wait for their respective turns up on the balcony right there, and start the board, Hayate said. The board then started to flash through names at a high speed, making the letters of the people's names look like blurs. Uchiha Sasuke and Akado Yoroi remain here while everyone else left to the balcony, Hayate ordered. The Genin, except for Sasuke and Yoroi, all left to the balcony. Kakashi then walked up to Sasuke when all the other Jonin instructors were going to see their teams. Sasuke, don't use the Sharingan, the curse will react every time you use it, Kakashi said. But sensei, Sandaime-sama put up a protection seal that is strengthened by my will to not use the power of the curse, Sasuke said. Kakashi sighed, alright, but if the seal starts to activate the match will end and you will be disqualified. Got it, Kakashi said in a serious tone. Sasuke nodded and then Kakashi shunshin to where Naruto and Sakura were. Okay, you two ready? Hayate asked. Hi, they both said. Then Hajime, begin, Hayate said as he leapt to the Hokage's side. Yoroi then took out a few shuriken and threw them at Sasuke. Sasuke activated his Sharingan and took out a kunai. He then slashed downward sending the shuriken flying back at Yoroi. Yoroi then appeared behind Sasuke and was about to punch his head, but Sasuke ducked, dug his kunai into the ground and then tripped Yoroi and pinned him to the ground with his legs. Yoroi then raised a glowing hand and grabbed Sasuke's leg. Sasuke then felt all his strength start to leave him. What the hell are you doing, Utem? Sasuke asked angrily. Yoroi then got out from Sasuke's grip and punched him in the face. Yoroi then grabbed Sasuke's head and then began to suck away his chakra. You're sucking away my chakra. Sasuke realized. Hehe, yup, and now you're gonna lose, Yoroi said. Meanwhile up on the balcony the Oto team's sensei was watching the match intently, but what the people here didn't know is that this particular Jonin was Orochimaru in disguise. Yes, Yoroi suck out his strength so that he will have to rely on the power of my precious curse mark, Orochimaru thought, licking his lips. Sasuke then all of a sudden felt newfound strength and kicked away Yoroi. Sasuke panted as he tried to think up his next move. Bad time to daydream now, Uchiha, Yoroi said as he was about to grab Sasuke. Poof. Yoroi was surprised, Kagebunshin he thought. Yoroi was then kicked in the back by a foot courtesy of Sasuke. You see, I had already switched myself with a Kagebunshin and hinged into a kunai and pulled this sneak attack on you, but I was surprised by your abilities, Yoroi. Now time for you to face my ultimate finishing move, Sasuke said, the two tomo in each Sharingan eye spinning rapidly. Kagebunshin no Jutsu, he said. 5 Sasukes appeared in a poof of smoke. 2 of them ran up to Yoroi with amazing speed and double punched him the face. A third then shunshined underneath Yoroi and sent a strong uppercut to Yoroi's chin, sending the older genin a good 5 feet above ground. The 4th clone then appeared and did a backflip which ended doing a powerful kick to Yoroi's chin, sending Yoroi even higher into the air. On the balcony Naruto smiled. Okay Sasuke, finish this, he said. Sasuke looked at his brother and nodded, shunshining in front of the floating Yoroi. Time to lose, he said. Sasuke then did a punch to Yoroi's face, then shunshin below the falling genin and kicked him back up, then shunshin far above the rising genin and did a front flip, doing a powerful heel kick to his stomach. Yoroi gasped in pain, and then Sasuke appeared behind Yoroi and did a very unsuspecting thing. His fists and feet caught afire, but he wasn't burning. The Uchiha just smiled before giving a battle cry as he spun to kick Yoroi in the head, but Yoroi managed to block it. Sasuke then used the force of his kick to twist his body and deliver a flaming kick to the boy's stomach. Sasuke then punched Yoroi with a flaming fist to the face, and then as they were only 3 featuring above the ground, Sasuke quickly spun his body in a very powerful, flaming kick to Yoroi's stomach and yelled the name of his Rendon combo. Doki no Ryu Rendon, Dragon's Wrath Barrage. If anyone has any better suggestions let me know and I might change it if it's cool. Sasuke yelled as he slammed his flaming heel into Yoroi's belly as they hit the ground, and upon impact a pillar of flame rose from the spot where Sasuke and Yoroi were. The flames quickly died down and there stood Sasuke over a burned Yoroi and a piece of his shirt still burning. The medics came and took away Yoroi, who was suffering from 2nd-degree burns all over his body and internal bleeding. Winner, Uchiha Sasuke, Hayate said. Naruto and Sakura were whooping with joy while the others were wondering how Sasuke was able to that thing with the fire. Sasuke then shoved his hands in his pockets and walked to his team with a smirk. Whatever training Kakashi did with Sasuke, it sure worked, Asuma said to Kurenai, whose teams just happened to next to each other. Yeah, but what about Sakura and Naruto? I'm wondering about their growth now that I've seen this year's Rookie of the Year fight. Asuma nodded and lit a cigarette. Flash forward: Kankuro vs Tsurugi Masumi, winner Kankuro. Shino vs Zaku, winner Shino. Tamari vs Tenten, winner Tamari. End flash forward. The people then began to talk about the fights. Kankuro's was very sneaky, making his puppet fight for him before ambushing his opponent. Shino showed surprising skill with his family's clan jutsus with the use of his Kikai bugs. Zaku might have won with that move he pulled with pretending for his arms to be broken, but got his arm blown off in the end. The board's flashing then ruined the people's trains of thought. Haruno Sakura vs Yamanaka Ino, Hayate called. The two kunoichi were, all I could say is, shocked due to lack of a smarter sounding word. The girl, then walked down to the floor and faced each other. Sakura, you're gonna pay for taking Sasuke-kun from me, Ino said. Sakura grinned before removing her Hitai-8 from its hairband style before tying around her forehead. Come on Ino, tie it around your forehead. I'll wait. Remember, we made a pact that when we fight each other, we wear our Hitai-8 like true shinobi, Sakura said. Ino nodded and removed her Hitai-8 from her left thigh and tied it around her forehead. Flashback: Sakura and Ino were standing in front of the Ninja Academy facing each other. Look Ino, I know we're friends, but since we both want Sasuke, we're rivals now, and since we're both qualified shinobi now, she said. Ino was surprised. You know I'm gonna get him right, and besides, why throw away a friendship for Sasuke-kun? Ino shouted. Sakura sighed. Don't worry, we can reform it when one of us gets Sasuke, and also when we fight. Sakura paused when Ino looked at her to continue her statement. We fight with our Hitai-ates on our foreheads like true shinobi, swear that to me, she said. Ino nodded and shook Sakura's hand. End flashback: Ino and Sakura glared at each other before going in for the attack. Sakura and Ino both threw punches at each other and caught each other's respective punches as if they were mimicking each other's movements. They then began doing similar punches and kicks which connected with each other. Sakura then jumped away and performed Kagebunshin, but Ino just thought they were regular bunshins. This isn't the academy, Sakura. You can't beat me with basic Bunshin no Jutsu, she shouted. The three Sakuras then rushed Ino as Ino prepared to fight back. Well Ino, it's a good thing this is not an academy level jutsu, she said as she focused chakra into her entire leg structure. Ino looked surprised. What do you mean? I mean, this isn't Bunshin no Jutsu, this I learned from Uzumaki Naruto himself, Kagebunshin no Jutsu, she said. The Sakuras then disappeared and reappeared in front of Ino's shocked face before one Kagebunshin tripped Ino, and while Ino was falling, the clone that tripped her kicked her back up into the waiting fist of another Kagebunshin who punched Ino the face back towards the Sakura Bunshin that kicked her. This was repeated constantly. The people in the stand were sweet-dropping. Ino looks just like one of those blow-up weighted punching bag things, where when you hit it, it just comes back up, Shikamaru said with a grin. Choji was eating his bag of chips and Asuma was smoking a cigarette, trying not to chuckle at the sight before him. Team 7 and 8, minus Shino, were rolling on the floor laughing while Shino just raised his eyebrows in amusement. Tamari was struggling not to laugh, Kankuro was laughing, while Baki, their Jonin-sensei, and Gaara showed Shino's expression. Ino then managed to dodge the punching Sakura Bunshin and grab its outstretched arm and bonking it on the head, dispelling it, and then did a quick kick to the other Bunshin, also dispelling it. The original Sakura then appeared behind the beat-up Ino and tapped her shoulder. Ino turned around to get a fist to her face, sending her flying across the arena floor. Ino got up and wiped her mouth, which had blood on it. It's not possible. You can't be stronger than me, Ino said. Sakura smiled. Hey, when you train with Naruto, you're bound to get stronger, she said. Ino was puzzled. How Naruto's just a big baka, the class clown, Adobe, how can you possibly learn to be stronger from? But Ino didn't get to finish when a powerful uppercut hit her in the chin, followed by a series of rapid punches all over Ino's body and finishing with a swift kick sending Ino flying. Sakura walked towards the broken Ino with fire surround her and her eyes went blank, a sign that inner Sakura was unleashed. Don't ever insult Naruto ni-san again, you hear me, bitch, Sakura yelled, grabbing Ino by the collar. Ino chuckled before forming the Tori, bird hand sign. Shintenshin no Jutsu, mind transfer jutsu, she said as her spirit left her body and entered Sakura's. The Konoha genin were surprised. Ino allowed herself to get beat and lead Sakura to the point where Sakura would grab Ino like that and then use her Shintenshin no Jutsu. Brilliant. Very stupid to take on an angered Sakura, but still brilliant, Naruto thought after getting over the fact that Ino had just insulted him. Ino's body then fell to the floor as Sakura lost her grip on it. Sakura's head was downcast, her bangs covering her eyes. What's going on, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto and Sasuke asked with concern. Kakashi, who was reading his little orange book, folded the corner of the page and shut it. Well, Ino used her Shintention no Jutsu, and since Ino hasn't immediately taken over means that Sakura is fighting for control, for the only way to avoid Ino's Jutsu is to either dodge it and then use the opportunity that her spirit won't be back to her body for quite a while and make her surrender and or pummel it to a pulp, or you can fight with mental willpower, Kakashi explained to his students. Naruto looked confused. What's mental willpower? He asked. Kakashi spoke again. Mental willpower is the power to do things when it is controlled or taken over. For example, if Ino were to take over you, Naruto, you would be able to thrust her out of your mind since you would most likely fight back, but in your case now, Kyuubi would just force her out himself. The former scenario would apply to any non-Jinchuriki, Kakashi said. Sakura's mindscape. Ino and Sakura were fighting it out in her mind, which looked like a forest of sakura trees in full bloom surrounding a clearing with a flowing river and a grass-covered field. Ino, get out of my mind, Sakura said. Why would I do that? If I did that, the jutsu would end, Ino said as if it were very obvious. Fine, then I'll just get back up, inner Sakura now, she shouted. Ino was confused until a large shadow covered her. Ino looked up slowly and saw a black and white version of Sakura with the kanji for inner Sakura written on its forehead. Oh, did I mention that this Sakura is like a gargantuan version of Sakura? My bad. Bye, Ino, Sakura said as a portal appeared behind her. Inner Sakura then picked up Ino and threw her at Sakura. A baseball bat then appeared in Sakura's hands. Sakura swung the bat and hit Ino in the face into the portal which leads to outside her mind. And she's out of there, Shanaru, Sakura shouted as baseball music started to play in her mind. Outside Sakura's mindscape, Ino's and Sakura's bodies convulsed for a second and eyes of Ino and Sakura opened wide. Sakura, what was that? Ino asked, shocked at what just happened to her spirit. None of your business, Sakura said from behind her. Ino was about to turn when a kunai was placed in front of her throat. Ino sighed. I forfeit, Ino said in a sad voice. Hayate, who had fallen asleep, but was awoken by Anko, got up and wiped the drool from his mouth. Huh, what? Oh yeah, winner Haruno Sakura, Hayate said. The arena was silent as Sakura walked back to Sasuke and Naruto. Lee was crying rivers that his lady love had won her match and vowed he would win his. Lee then walked over to Naruto's team. Ino walked back up to the balcony where her teammates were. Hey Naruto-kun, Lee said. Naruto turned. Oh hey bushy brows, Naruto said with a wave. So what do you think of the matches so far? Lee asked. They are awesome, except for the one between Tenten and Temari, it was kinda short, Naruto said. Lee nodded. I'm gonna fight before you, he said. Naruto, not wanting to be a loser, said, I am just watch the screen, he said pointing at it, which was flashing names quicker than the normal eye could see. The names stopped. Inuzuka, Kiba and Uzumaki. Naruto, come on down, Hayate called. Kiba whooped with joy, while Akamaru barked with happiness. We got it made, Akamaru, we're gonna win this for sure, Kiba aided to his pup as he jumped down to the floor. Naruto also jumped down and stood to face Kiba. One question, Hayate-san, are dogs allowed in battle? Naruto asked. Hayate nodded. Animals are used as weapons like kunai and shuriken, so yes, it's valid. Naruto nodded and got into his Kitsunekan fighting stance. Kurenai walked over to Kakashi. Hey Kakashi, wanna make a bet? She asked the silver-haired Jonin. Kakashi didn't stop reading, but nodded. Okay, if Kiba wins, I get all of those disgusting porno books of your and I burn them all to charcoal, the ruby-eyed Jonin said. Well, if Naruto wins, I can keep my books and you have to have some fun time with me, Kakashi said slyly. Kurenai thought it over, but I mean, it's Naruto, Kiba should win easily. Alright, she said, and the two Jonin shook on it. Back on the arena floor. Alright Udobi, I'll make this easy for you and end it in one shot, Kiba said. Naruto didn't say anything, but remained in his fighting stance. Kiba growled before forming hand signs. Ninpu. Shikyaku no Jutsu, ninja art, all fours jutsu, Kiba growled. Kiba then overflowed with chakra as he went onto all fours, hence the name, and his fangs seemed to grow sharper and his nails became claws. Kiba then rushed at Naruto faster than Naruto could react and slammed his elbow into Naruto's stomach, sending Naruto into a wall and kicking up a dust cloud where Naruto was smashed into. It's over, Proctor, Kiba said with a grin. The people in the stands thought so too, except for Team 7. That's what they think, Kakashi, Sakura and Sasuke said simultaneously. The dust cloud cleared, showing Naruto with not a scratch on him. Kurenai was looking surprised. What did that boy do, Kakashi? She asked. He simply coated his body with chakra before Kiba hit, thus lessening the force of the blow to that as if being given a slap on the wrist, Kakashi said. Kiba, don't ever underestimate me, Naruto shouted, his eyes flashing red for a split second. Kiba was surprised nonetheless. This boy is something else, Kurenai thought. Naruto, you never cease to amaze me, Sarutobi said to himself. You're supposed to be knocked out now, Kiba said. Well, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, Kiba, Naruto replied with a shrug. Kiba became angry and then threw smoke bombs at Naruto. Naruto was encased in a cloud of purple smoke and was being pummeled by Kiba on the inside. If Naruto didn't have up his chakra coating, those blows might have hurt. Naruto then made a Kagebunshin to distract Kiba and escaped the cloud, but was bitten by Orochimaru and sent back into the cloud. Naruto ni-san, Sasuke and Sakura said. Kurenai looked at the two of them oddly. Kakashi, Kurenai asked. They have hung around each other so much they see each other as siblings. In fact, if it weren't for the different blood types and outer characteristics, they could be, Kakashi explained. Sugoi, Kurenai whispered to herself. The smoke cleared to reveal a knocked out Naruto on the ground and a happy, tail-wagging Orochimaru. Yada! Way to go, Orochimaru, we won, Kiba exclaimed. Orochimaru then ran towards Kiba's outstretched arms and then bit Kiba's hands. The audience gasped along with Kiba. Orochimaru, why? Kiba asked, confused at Orochimaru's actions. Then Orochimaru started to chuckle. Fooled you, Baka, Orochimaru said as he poofed into a grinning Naruto. Kiba then shook off Naruto, who was busy spitting on the floor. You smell worse than the Inu, dog, Naruto complained. Kiba was frantic while looking around for Orochimaru. Where is Orochimaru? He growled. Naruto pointed behind Kiba and there was Naruto's Kagebunshin holding a tired-looking Orochimaru. Orochimaru, Kiba shouted, concerned for his canine companion. You'll pay, Naruto, Kiba growled angrily. Kiba then reached into his weapons pouch and pulled out some pills. He ate one and handed another to Orochimaru, who caught in his mouth and ate it. Soldier pills, you must be getting desperate, Kiba, Naruto said with a smirk. Kiba just growled as his chakra capacity grew larger and he became more beast-like, and Orochimaru's fur turned red and let out, not a bark, but a bestial roar. The powerful pup then kicked Naruto's bunshin, dispelling it, and then jumped onto Kiba's back. Kiba is on all fours still. Kiba then made a hand sign. Ninpu. Jujin Bunshin ninja art. Man-beast clone, Kiba yelled. Orochimaru then transformed into a copy of Kiba, so it looked like there were two Kibas. The two Kibas then charged and then jumped into the air and spun at high speeds, making them look like twin gray drills. Gastsuga, double piercing fang, Kiba yelled. Naruto then flashed through hand signs and slammed his palm on the ground. Doden. Doryuheki, earth style. Earth wall, Naruto shouted, and then a large wall burst out of the floor and protected Naruto as the Kibas smashed into the wall. When the wall broke, the Kibas looked and saw that Naruto wasn't there anymore. Naruto then shunshined behind Kiba and delivered a swift kick to his ass. Kiba yelped in pain, but then poofed to reveal it was Orochimaru. Naruto then picked up the pup and threw him aside like a rag doll. How dare you do that to Orochimaru, you'll pay, Kiba growled and rushed Naruto. Kurenai was surprised by Naruto's moves. Naruto had barely done anything and yet Kiba was already almost worn out. Kakashi, what did you do to this boy? She asked the silver-haired Jonin. I trained him, that's all, Kakashi said. Naruto then dodged Kiba's lunge and then jumped away and made a few hand signs. Kagebunshin no Jutsu, wind clone jutsu, Naruto yelled. Then wind started to swirl around Naruto as the wind started to take form and created 5 Naruto Kagebunshins. The Narutos then rushed Kiba, who was checking up on Orochimaru. Kiba turned to be thrown away from his pup by one of Naruto's bunshin. Kiba then got up off the floor, but was met by an uppercut to his chin and then followed by another bunshin shunshining in front of Kiba, and since it was a Kagebunshin, its heel was surrounded by cutting-edge winds which hit Kiba in the face. Kiba fell to the floor and was about to get up when 4 of the Kagebunshins hit Kiba in the chin, which were more powerful due to the wind swirling around their feet. Kiba was sent sky high. Yuzu Makai, the clones shouted. The original Naruto was then blown upwards when the last Kagebunshin turned into a gust of wind to send Naruto skyward above Kiba. Naruto then did a front flip and equipped some wind chakra into his kick, making it faster and stronger. Naruto Renden, Naruto shouted as he brought his wind-powered kick into Kiba's face, which made spiral downwards headfirst in a wind vortex and smashed into the floor. Hayate looked at what had just occurred, and he, like everyone else, could only think one thing. Wow! Naruto then landed firmly on his feet as he looked back up to his cheering teammates and sensei who were clapping for him. Gaara was licking his lips in anticipation when he got to fight this Uzumaki Naruto. Winner, Uzumaki Naruto, Hayate called. The medics then went to the damaged Akamaru, who was unconscious, and Kiba, who was covered with cuts from the wind and was bleeding from his head, but his jacket lessened the force of the smashing into the floor. Well done, Kit. Good use of the Kagebunshins and your wind chakra, Kyuubi said. Arigato, but I couldn't have done it without your training, Naruto-san, Naruto replied. Kyuubi nodded in Naruto's mind. Yeah, you're right, I deserve most of the credit, and since you've made it to the finals, I'm gonna give you something special for the finals, okay Kit? Naruto laughed mentally, whooped mentally with joy at going to learn something new, and then severed his connection with the fox for the time being. Flash forward. Lee vs Gaara. Lee had shown the ability to move at extreme speeds, which Sasuke was able to copy the stances for the Omoto Renge, primary lotus kick up. Lee was appearing to win until Gaara revealed his Suna Yoroi, sand armor. Lee then revealed his last resort move, opening 5 of the 8 celestial chakra gates, and gave Gaara quite a pounding, but Gaara still emerged victorious by breaking Lee's right arm and leg. Lee had also taken some serious damage and was about to be killed by Gaara if Guy hadn't intervened. Hinata vs Neji. Neji tried to mess up Hinata's mind by belittling her first, but Hinata just stood strong and charged Neji with her Byakugan active. The Juken, Gentle Fist, was later explained to Naruto about the Tekkensu and other aspects of the Juken. Hinata though revealed she was wearing weights and managed to surprise Neji and knock him in the head by throwing them at her cousin. Although Neji was surprised, he was still older and stronger than Hinata and managed to overpower her, but Hinata wanted to look strong in front of Naruto-kun and was still beaten down by Neji. Neji then went in for a killing blow, but was stopped by Naruto and the other Jonin. Neji was pronounced winner and was then threatened by Naruto that if they fought, he would beat him to a pulp. This he swore by Hinata's blood. Shikamaru vs Kin. Shikamaru used good use of the terrain and used his Kajimane no Jutsu, Shadow Possession Jutsu, to smash Kin's head into a wall. Dosu vs Choji. Dosu tried to hit Choji, but Choji quickly used Baika no Jutsu, Expansion Jutsu, and then followed up with Nikuden Sensha, Human Boulder. Dosu was about to use his sound waves to hit Choji's diaphragm in order to stop him, but Choji was spinning too fast and flattened Dosu, knocking him out. End. Flash forward. The finalists all stood before the Hokage to receive information on the finals. I must say this has been one of the most exciting Chunin exams, yet so I congratulate you. The Sandaime began. Now then for the finals, you will have a 1-month time off in order to train yourself in preparation for the finals. Now here I have in my hand a box each with 10 pieces of paper with number 1 to 9 written on them. Now each of you come and reach into the box and pick a number, Sarutobi said. Naruto 1, Neji 2, Gaara 3, Sasuke 4, Kankuro 5, Shino 6. Tamari 7, Chouji 8, Sakura 9. Now then, that means numbers 1 and 2 fight, followed by 3 and 4 and so on, and as for number 9 you will fight the winner of 7 and 8. Also the feudal lords from the various elemental countries are coming to see these exams. Make sure to also put on a good show, Sandaime said. The competitors nodded and then left with their teams. So Naruto's entire team made it to the finals. I'm surprised they're the only full team that went since the time of the Yondaime, Sarutobi said to Anko. Anko nodded with a smirk. I think with this team trained by Kakashi this will be a fun Chunin exam for the feudal lords to see, Anko said, and then the both of them shunshined away. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. The next part will be out soon.